vaguely medieval fantasy, but it's hard to ignore the Lord of the Rings and Game of Thrones influences here. The story is rooted in the struggle over the 5 mother crystals that tower over Phalisphea, which are the source of the magic that powers this world. Naturally, the continent's 6 nations are going to want to fight for control of these, and so a constant state of conflict rages on. One of those nations is the Grand Duchy of Rosaria, and you play as Clive Rosfield, son of the ruling Archduke. Over the course of the opening few hours, you're transported through different periods of his life as the personal catalyst for his story is revealed. It's not a revolutionary setup for a story in this genre, but one introduced with a fair amount of elegance in an early cadence that maintains a good balance between action and dialogue. This pace and a general sense of excitement are infinitely aided by the superb score that soundtracks the events too. It's worth saying at this point that Final Fantasy XVI's opening hours are very story heavy, and while it does a great job at introducing Clive's family ties and those who aim to unbind them, it did leave me wishing I was playing a more active part in it at times. Not least because when you do get let off the leash, its combat never fails to impress. That heightened sense of cinema translates equally well to the battlefield, with each encounter feeling like a real event. In my relatively short amount of playtime, I fought no fewer than 8 bosses, each delivering spectacle on both a macro and micro level, ranging from massive monster clashes to time-bending perfect parry affairs against agile enemies. The first extensive stretch of gameplay sees you playing as teenage Clive, as you venture through a swampy marshland littered with the most goblin-looking goblins you've ever seen. It culminates in a very fun fight against this world's version of the classic Final Fantasy enemy Morbol, a slimy, tendrilled set of teeth with a serious case of bad breath.
Keep clear of its maw, my lord. That thing's breath is worse than its bite.
It's Final Fantasy XVI's first real display of its fantastic combat in full flow, with its signature cinematic strikes and evades now fully introduced to your arsenal. It's a set of tools that is steadily added to as you progress, with different magic abilities welcomed into the fold. And while I had plenty of toys to play with, I still feel like I barely scratched the surface of what these combat systems have to offer. That's especially true when it comes to its showpiece kaiju-like icon battles, which flip the script when it comes to gameplay, each promising a delve into a new genre. The aforementioned opening exchange between 2 fiery icons, which played more like a flying rail shooter than an RPG, conjures up welcome memories of the finale to Nier Automata in its desire to frequently switch up gameplay styles while never pausing for breath. As large scale as Final Fantasy XVI can be at times, I was slightly surprised by how contained some of its levels can be. Early on at least, they were all relatively narrow locations that funnel you from arena to arena, with occasional forays off the beaten path that rewarded me with useful items. A great example of this is the Greatwood area, which acted as the final destination of my hands-on. A verdant green forest, it largely consisted of leafy corridors connecting fights with feisty flora and fauna to bosses of varying sizes, the most notable of these being the scaly giant Fafnir, which looked like something on an exchange trip from Skull Island.
Not so sharp.
You'd better hope so.
I did spend a small amount of time in a much wider open space from later in the game, containing side quests and challenging foes to take down, but this by no means felt like the open world Final Fantasy that fans have become accustomed to of late in Final Fantasy XV. This isn't necessarily a bad thing. Not every game needs to be a sprawling world to get lost in, and in some ways, it was a refreshing throwback to the more linear Final Fantasy of old, even if it did feel a little restricted to a repetitive rhythm of cutscene, battle, with exploration coming at a premium. There's nothing old school about the combat though, which feels sharply cutting edge in its fluidity. The fast-paced action really is excellent, so good in fact that I found myself often thinking, just let me do it more. As I said, cutscenes make up a lot of Final Fantasy XV's early runtime, and while story has always been a big part of the series, I think it may be the sheer speed of its action that leads to the transition between combat and the slower dialogue-heavy scenes, delivering more whiplash this time around. The scenes themselves are all well acted and admirably succinct in their exposition. It's just more of a testament to the sheer thrill of its combat than anything that I couldn't wait for them to move along at an even swifter pace.
You are a true shield of the flame, and let no one tell you otherwise, including me.
For those that really want to take their time and delve deeper into the history of Valisthea, however, there's the handy active time lore system. This essentially acts in a similar fashion to Prime Video's X-ray feature, allowing you to hit a button and pause the scene at any moment to learn more about the characters speaking or the terminology they're using. It's a smart way to provide extra context for those who want it without overloading on exposition for those who just want to zip along to the next fight. That's not to say that Final Fantasy XVI doesn't entertain in its slower moments, and indeed some of them are effective in building Clive out as a protagonist to care about. He's an emotionally complicated character plagued with a tragic backstory that adds a welcome amount of depth. A section where you're set loose to roam around his family home of Rosalith Castle serves as a great way of introducing us to Clive and his place in this world, as he interacts with soldiers in training, magical gardeners, and a bounty of regional British accents. From what I've seen so far, the future looks very bright for Final Fantasy XVI. If its opening few hours of hulking icon showdowns, superb melee combat, and story that delivers on both a personal and global level are anything to go by, then a very fun time is on the horizon. I'm hopeful that the ever so stuttering pace irons itself out over the hours to come, with its ferociously fun gameplay taking precedence as Clive's journey broadens. I went into my time with Final Fantasy XVI incredibly excited about what I'd seen in its many trailers and showcases, and left very happy that very little of that anticipation had diminished by the time I'd finished.
Good boy.
For more from Final Fantasy XVI, check out the latest trailer, and for everything else, stick with IGN.
Since their inception, video games have acted as portals to other worlds. Unlike books and films, they allow us to not just be immersed in another land, but to truly explore one. It's that core fantasy that has seen the concept of the open world flourish. What better way is there to create a sense of discovering a new world than to build one with as much depth and as few borders as possible? That goal has seen the open world advance from a form of environment design to a whole diverse genre in its own right. Where linear game design delivers slices of another reality, the open world aims to simulate on a grander level. It combines geography, architecture, populations and events to create a living city, region or kingdom. The thing that truly separates open worlds from linear games, though, is freedom. For some developers, this means offering a wide range of activities, buffet style, to ensure you're always free to play what you want. For others, it's providing the tools so that you can freely explore a world how you want. The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom and its predecessor Breath of the Wild are emblematic of that play how you want philosophy. Their core mechanics are built around the authentic sense of adventure that organic, freeform discovery can bring. This is why, outside of the main quest, you're offered very little direction. Its map is devoid of activity icons. Instead, the architecture of Tears of the Kingdom's world is designed to draw your attention and encourage you to uncover its untold secrets. Since there are few pre-plotted objectives, the unknown journey towards your chosen goal is as important as the destination itself. That's why the very topography of Hyrule, from its steep mountains to its floating islands, is designed to provide navigation challenges that require genuine effort and planning to conquer. You may need to plot an exhausting climb, risk a dangerous drop, paraglide an awkward route, or combine more unusual techniques to reach a point of interest. It's through all this that a genuine sense of accomplishment is achieved, which in turn makes the discoveries on the other side of those challenges all the more spectacular, regardless of if that's a valuable treasure or a priceless vista. Nintendo generated Breath of the Wild's now signature exploration style by engineering a detailed simulation of the physical world. Gravity, wind, fire, and propulsive forces can all be harnessed to launch Link to places that initially seemed impossible to reach, and each new discovery makes Hyrule even more vast and unknowable. Tears of the Kingdom takes this one step forward with its new crafting abilities, Fuse and Ultra Hand, which allow you to make a variety of improvised weapons and contraptions. It's an impressive system that continually broadens the game's horizons with each new find. For instance, experimenting with Ultra Hand may see you craft an airship. That's a fantastic achievement in its own right, but that airship can now be used to explore distant mountaintops or employed as part of a new tactic to parachute into bokoblin camps. It's a domino effect. Each new discovery opens up new ways to play, which in turn enhances Tears of the Kingdom's sense of freedom. Development of Breath of the Wild, and in turn Tears of the Kingdom, was partially inspired by the advancements of open world games in the West. We can see that most clearly in Hyrule's map-revealing towers and Link's ability to climb almost any surface, two mechanics that directly build upon the trademarks of Ubisoft's Assassin's Creed series. But the more important inspiration, cited by Nintendo itself, is Skyrim. Bethesda's spirit of adventure can be found in the way Zelda employs enemy camps, unmarked secrets, and distant landmarks that beg to be explored. Nintendo's interpretation of these ideas have since triggered industry trends. In Elden Ring, we explore a world with a similar approach to rewarding curiosity and risk-taking, while Death Stranding is an entire game dedicated to making challenging traversal the main event. But while Breath of the Wild was clearly a turning point for the industry, its approach to open worlds is not perfect for all people. Its lack of direction and seemingly infinite options can be limiting rather than inspiring, and overwhelmed players have a tendency to stick to main objectives and just a handful of simple, reliable techniques. For these players, direction and guidance can be beneficial, which is where the more traditional play what you want design of open worlds comes in. This strain of open world arose during the early 2000s, as the success of Grand Theft Auto 3 ushered in a tidal wave of so-called GTA clones, and by the release of Assassin's Creed 2 in 2009, the genre's modern form had fully emerged.
It's a me, Mario!
It's characterized by a map populated by dozens or sometimes even hundreds of icons, each of which represents one of a variety of activity types, ranging from main missions to momentary distractions. These are typically evenly spread across a number of regions. Clearing a region may involve playing through a couple of dungeons, solving several puzzles, collecting a few resources, and defeating the local world boss, in addition to the main and side quests. This arrangement effectively makes the map a question. What are you in the mood for right now? A detailed main quest, or something more bite-sized? This design, often referred to as the Ubisoft formula, is the foundation of dozens of games, including smash hits such as Batman Arkham City, Ghost of Tsushima, and the Horizon series. And it's obvious why this design is so popular. It directs you to the world's most interesting and exciting activities, something invaluable to those who need guidance, time-poor players, and people looking to achieve 100% completion. The arrangement provides a more authored experience, where many of the greatest moments in Zelda are rooted in the journey across Hyrule and the things you discover, often by accident along the way. The greatest hits in more traditionally designed open worlds come from fantastic mission or activity design. Ghost of Tsushima's duels, Horizon's mech battles, and Arkham City's stealth infiltrations are all among the genre's high points, but these moments are created for you rather than by you. The more directed an open world is, though, the more important it is to preserve a sense of adventure. With too many icons, the world effectively becomes an awkward menu in which you need to walk between the game modes. Its sense of place is lost, and the purpose of it being an open world in the first place dissolves. Assassin's Creed Unity is the poster child for this mistake. Its map rendered incomprehensible thanks to a clutter of symbols highlighting everything from main missions to the most insignificant treasure chest. As proven by the likes of The Witcher 3 and Skyrim, a good open world map knows when to signpost, when to hint, and when to say nothing at all.
I don't know what you're saying, Dutch, but it seems like I've heard it all before.
Perhaps the reason Rockstar Games is considered among the open world's most important custodians, then, is that its games find a way to blend discovery and direction together. The world of Red Dead Redemption 2, the studio's most recent and accomplished open world, is full of authored moments. The serial killer, the voice of the devil, and the vampire are just a few well-known examples of bizarre characters and questlines that you'll find during your travels through the American frontier. But crucially, these activities are not marked on your map until you stumble across them. In fact, Rockstar is reluctant to add icons to its maps at all, using them sparingly to mark significant quest givers and previously discovered locations. And so bumping into one of Red Dead's many unusual strangers feels like a genuine discovery, and the quests that spin out of those meetings feels like a true adventure rather than a pre-planned activity. By blurring the boundary between freedom and precise scripting, Rockstar achieves its trademark atmosphere, worlds that feel both cinematic and authentic. But authenticity comes from more than just freedom. It's built on simulation. There's a constant two-way conversation between the world and the player. When snow falls, you need to dress appropriately to fend off the cold. Wade through water, and you'll need to clean your weapons to restore their effectiveness. Act with kindness or cruelty, and the population will respond accordingly. Even the impression of your boots in the mud conveys a sense of believable reality. This is a genuine world, and even your footprints leave a mark on it. While Rockstar's apparently infinite budget means its graphics technology can make a world that looks photorealistic, and thus increasingly believable, studios across the world have long recognised that visual grunt alone can't make an open world feel alive. The land has to react to your presence. This understanding can be traced all the way back through Rockstar's gamography. The very core of Grand Theft Auto is based on the reactivity of the police. Commit crimes, get chased. The Police Wanted system has since been replicated by dozens of games, from The Getaway to Cyberpunk 2077, but it's also the first link in an evolutionary chain that leads to Shadow of Mordor's incredible Nemesis system.
You're back! I think you'll do better than last time!
In Monolith's otherwise fairly traditional open world, seemingly inconsequential enemy orcs left to die in a ditch can return to hound you across the campaign. They return for grudge matches over and over again, each time looking more haggard and mutilated than the last. In the sequel Shadow of War, orcs are able to learn from their combat mistakes and fight you in increasingly sophisticated ways. They rise through the ranks of Sauron's army, becoming an ever more powerful threat with each new encounter. Behind the scenes, this system is simply an NPC tracking database, but within the lands of Middle-earth, those lines of codes are a living, breathing rogues gallery of unforgettable foes.
Sing this song with all my breath, take heed, for this interlude ends with your death.
It creates life in a manner unlike any other game, and that life is rooted in the simulation layer of its open world design. You cannot escape the Nemesis system in Shadow of Mordor, much like how you cannot rid the city of GTA's police or avoid the natural forces that govern Tears of the Kingdom's world. And so while the philosophy that powers open worlds is freedom, these games are just as much about what's beyond a player's control as they are the opportunities granted to them. That players in Breath of the Wild are not free from the limits of their own exhaustion while climbing a mountain dictates not only their journey, but also the way they're free to explore. Tears of the Kingdom refines that concept even further. Your limited stamina and the pull of gravity may shackle you to the ground, but Ultra Hand and the amazing skyborne vehicles it can create will be the thing that helps you break free of the earth and reach that distant mountaintop. Like Tears of the Kingdom, the next revolutionary open world will once again redefine freedom. I can't wait to see the possibilities it unlocks. For more Zelda, check out our Tears of the Kingdom review, and for everything else, stick with IGN.
We're transporting the prisoner from New Atlanta Sector 11. What's our destination?
Trapped in a hell he helped make, a lone hacker aboard a space station far from home sneaks and fights his way through horrible mutants and killer robots in order to take down the monstrous artificial intelligence behind it all. Shodan, one of the all-time great gaming villains. System Shock pioneered so many first-person shooter concepts back in 1994 that now feel fundamental, simultaneously paving the way for the entire immersive sim genre. Night Dive Studios has done masterful work with this 2023 remake, taking a fantastic game that the years have made hard to play and updating it with modern conveniences that will let it be enjoyed for decades to come. Nominally a shooter, System Shock is more about exploring the labyrinth that is the Tri-Optimum Corporation's Citadel space station than any combat that takes place within it. Your hacker and their military-grade neural implant are responsible for the significantly degraded situation here, having disabled the AI Shodan's ethical limitations.
I am drunk with this vision. God. The title suits me well.
So, naturally, Shodan has chopped everyone into bits and stitched them back together as horrible cyborgs, made her own strain of a world-ending mutagenic virus complete with freaky mutants, and now wants to export her godlike divinity to Earth proper. We love Shodan for this, because she's just so delightfully unnerving while she does it.
Will turn all earthly life into a festering pile of pustulant mutations.
Evil artificial intelligences can often be depicted as cold, calculating super geniuses. Shodan isn't that. Shodan is completely, transparently bonkers, inflicted with the delusion that she is a god and delightfully obsessed with both herself and her often extremely bad plans.
I must strive further to serve life. I will devastate Earth's cities with my laser.
If Shodan's body is the giant Citadel space station, then you are a horrible little parasite killing her from the inside out. Figuring out the extent of her plans and then foiling them is what you do.
Do not be fooled into thinking that you have preserved the home of your species.
System Shock is old school in the oldest school way, with levels that are deliberately designed mazes of interconnecting corridors, rooms, and locked gates. It's basic design that holds up 30 years and a hefty visual update later, giving you a space to delve out that's hard to navigate by its nature and providing a very satisfying challenge to learn your way around. There isn't really any main quest hand-holding, no log of what you're doing next, though there is now an optional difficulty setting to change that. So stopping Shodan means you actually have to explore, listen to audio logs, and figure out what plans the now dead crew had cooked up.
Is this really what I left Chicago for? I don't think any of us left our homes and our families to die in space.
The awesome setting and style as you poke around is fueled by 100% pure grade, uncut, spaceborne cyberpunk vibes. Cyberware? Got that. Cool smart guns? We've got that as well. An evil corporation turned government? But of course. The revamped visuals and effects are great, and I loved the semi-pixelated textures and blocky objects at work, probably best exemplified in the power interface panels. The new music and sounds are a superb accompaniment too. It all works together to remind you that you're still playing a game that's 30 years old, but that this version of it has been brought forward in time for you to more easily see what made it so special in the first place. You can even tweak the interface color if phosphor green isn't your thing. As you might expect, you are going to have to bash, shoot, burn, and blow up some nasty monsters to escape Citadel. While the heart of System Shock is undoubtedly exploration, there's still a lot of fighting to do along the way, with some enemies requiring a pure firefight to take down, while others necessitate the exploitative stealth ambushes of a survival horror game instead. Brute force won't always work, so you'll often have to cleverly sneak around corners and through maintenance shafts to take down enemies that are far tougher and more dangerous than you are. Combat is probably the place where this new System Shock changes most from the original game. Enemies were previously fairly slow and unintelligent, and the whole concept of what a first-person shooter even was hadn't been nailed down in the way it is today. That meant many of the coolest weapons on paper were hard to use in practice, and enemies weren't very good at fighting back. Most experienced players would just run at everything and rip it to pieces with the laser rapier, a kind of electro-charged lightsaber. But that's no longer as much of a viable option. That's not to say that the laser rapier is weak now. Please note, the laser rapier is still awesome. But other weapons are cool now too. I don't think I ever did anything with a grenade but kill myself in the original, whereas this time around I not only used them, I got to fire them out of a really cool grenade launcher. Other weapons like the Magnum and Assault Rifle also come into their own, thanks to more modern design sensibilities, and for the first time I felt like System Shock was a real FPS. It's a testament to how thorough and thoughtful this remake is that I kept having to check if certain weapons and moments were in the original at all. The new stuff just feels completely natural. The cyborgs, mutants, and robots that serve Shodan have received even bigger improvements. The clunky movements of times past are long gone in favor of enemies with proper AI that know how to maneuver out of your line of fire, duck behind obstacles, and rush you in groups. The gruesomely gooey, spliced together cyborgs are really the ones that benefit most from their visual upgrade, going from kinda goofy movie Frankensteins to brainwashed surgical nightmares. I really appreciated the unique designs that went into how each of these enemies fights and behaves too. The jury-rigged work robots rush at you, as do the more brainless mutants, but most of the cyborgs will try to outshoot you. The heavily armored enemies will move implacably towards you, shooting all the while before ripping you apart in melee. Bosses that were once simply tedious encounters, like the vicious Cortex Reavers, militarized gun platforms powered by an unwilling human host, are now tense fights that require you to gather the right equipment from around the station to win, and probably not without dying a few times. On death, you revive at the nearest medical chamber you've unlocked, gear and equipment intact. It's a pleasant respawn mechanic that punishes without ever frustrating and serves the goal of encouraging you to explore really nicely. Rushing through levels can work, but it's easier if you found a way to revive nearby when you accidentally step off a platform and fall to your death. It's a nice bit of older design that aged well, which is good because how you move around the station hasn't. Your hacker's movements can at times feel clunky and slow, unable to perform some actions that have become staples of modern games like sliding down ladders. That one I can forgive, but I'm not sure we needed to be forced to crouch jump in order to get on top of objects anymore. That's a bit of old game wisdom best left in the past. Speaking of the very few things I didn't like, cyberspace. At certain points in System Shock, you find terminals that let you enter the station's cyberspace mainframe, where reality is instead a kind of 6 Degrees of Freedom shooter with mediocre wireframe graphics. Questionably, but perhaps to its credit, the remake is very faithful to these sections by leaving them intact, but that still doesn't change the fact that they could often bore me to tears. Extremely to its credit, however, the remake lets you adjust individual difficulty settings for 4 separate areas of gameplay: combat, puzzles, cyberspace, and the main story missions. If you dislike exploring blindly and scouring audio logs, the lowest mission difficulty will give you clearer directions to follow. If you, like me, hate cyberspace, just turn the difficulty down and quickly blaze through those bits. If you want a more hardcore survival experience, you can crank up the combat and get absolutely dunked on by Cortex Reavers. I did this, and it ruled. I do expect that the most commonly tweaked difficulty will be puzzles, however. The Pipe Dream-esque power rerouting minigame is ubiquitous in System Shock, and second to finding a security access keycard is needed to open many doors and activate pieces of sensitive equipment that have been locked off. I find these puzzles almost therapeutic. They ask you to step back, take your time, and let your pulse settle after being chased around by, for example, two-faced zebra gorilla mutants. I also just really like the clacky in-world interface of plugging and unplugging power cables. Where many modern games invite you to sit back and enjoy the ride, System Shock wants you to sit up and experience the showdown. Tweaking the technical workings of Citadel Station to come out on top and foil Shodan's machinations is just as compelling as it ever was, making the original System Shock one of gaming's classics for a very good reason. Night Dive's remake masterfully brings most of the aspects that haven't aged as well into the present day, with excellent new graphics and nearly all the modern gameplay conveniences you could want. Get out there and give her hell, hacker. For more, check out our reviews of The Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom, and Star Trek Resurgence. And for everything else, stick with IGN.
Out of the chaos, they will run and whimper, praying for me to end their tedious anarchy. I am drunk with this vision. God.
IG 6G turning now.
I've been at this a long time. When there's a treasure this big, I make it my business to know about it. The coordinates on that data drive, they're for the MK core.
We got a job, Baratnas.
Cox promised us a real payday. He said, give me 3 months, and you never have to work again.
I've heard that before.
Whatever this is, it could still be everything you need to help the belt.
Do we want to invite that kind of attention?
In and out. No games.
Time to see what all the fuss is about.
We've been locked.
Don't these Pashangwalas rest?
What do you think we should do?
There is no good option. Whatever you choose will be wrong, and it's your job to choose.
When you find what's at the other end of those coordinates, the whole system will be on your ass.
What are you waiting for?
Stations! On my word, loose a PDC volley, then turn and burn.
Just like series. Only this time, no dolls to keep you on the leash, yeah?
I hope that my actions on this ship can offer some amends for my past.
Whatever this treasure is, the one thing we know is that it will change everything.
So are you going to spend the rest of your oxygen feeling sorry for yourself? Or are you going to get to work?
My name is Dr. Hendrik Juliet Eastern, and I'm your friend. I'm your help.
The Outlast Trials is a horror movie in reverse, in ways both good and bad. Instead of screaming in terror when something jumps out at you or stabs your character in the face, you usually just laugh as your friends make fun of you from their hiding spots. Instead of a clueless group of protagonists who get picked off one by one, the enemies hunting you are the ones with the hilariously poor decision-making skills. While the early access version of this cooperative horror game proves the concept and has a couple of very memorable maps, it's not one of those games that sprung into being almost fully formed. Expected bugs and a general lack of polish aside, there's just not much content yet. But still, I had an overall good time with this silly, gory, and uneven slaughterfest even in these early stages. The Outlast Trials throws you and up to 4 of your friends into insane and improbable Saw-like death games, in which you must work together to overcome the gory terrors that await. What little story there is so far doesn't amount to much. You're abducted by an evil corporation and kept in a prison under the guise of rehabilitation, but instead are subjected to a seemingly random series of murder playgrounds. You can glean some mildly interesting bits of lore by collecting compromising evidence that immoral company men apparently left lying around its death courses, but it's not exactly mesmerizing stuff. And that's okay. You're playing the Outlast Trials because you want to see a crazy lady use a sock puppet to drill a guy's face off, and there's certainly an abundance of that. That said, even when treated with the unseriousness and gore-filled levity that I think the Outlast Trials is going for, the over-the-top violence, deeply unsexy lechery, and extremely on-the-nose subject matter can be a bit much sometimes.
I'm trying to leave.
One level features a maniacal police officer who enjoys tasering his own genitals and rattles off nonsense like, "I don't recognize this country anymore." While in another, you're repeatedly shown a bunch of penises for seemingly no reason at all, and then forced to recreate a crucifixion for an audience of school children. I get that shock and gratuitous violence is sort of the whole point, but it often feels like they're trying so hard to be gross and extreme or make some kind of unsubtle statement that I just shook my head at the tactless, edgelordian overkill. At least when South Park does it, it's usually funny. Each of the 3 maps in the early access version has its own bizarre and twisted objectives that must be completed before your untimely death. Like one where you're forced to turn an impure orphanage into a malevolent religious establishment by replacing all the secular materials with unholy profanity. There's another where you have to punish a group of wicked animatronic children by shoving them into a meat grinder, working around various obstacles as you slowly push the cart of misbehaving dolls toward their demise. Of course, the absurdly macabre goals you're presented with merely serve as complicated and unavoidably noisy chores that you're expected to perform as numerous psychopaths hunt you, drawn to the sound of your actions. While it's not particularly exhilarating to, for example, fill a generator with gas and turn it on, the fact that you have to do so while being hunted by murderers and under great duress goes a long way to making things extremely chaotic and panic-inducing. Did I mention that you don't have any weapons? Certainly nothing that will turn the hunters into the hunted, at least. Instead, you must rely on stealth by creeping in darkness, hiding in closets or barrels and under beds, and occasionally using thrown bottles and bricks to distract or temporarily stun enemies when you're stuck in a tight spot. When everything works as intended, your inability to face the enemy head-on creates some delectable dramatic tension that aptly recreates those iconic horror film moments where the protagonist tries to hold her breath while the monster lurks just a few feet away. Other times, though, the enemy AI bugs out and the murderer just stares right at the barrel you're hiding in indefinitely until you decide to blow your cover and risk making a break for it. That makes that game of cat and mouse feel janky and unfair. One of the awesome ways enemies mess with you is by inflicting psychosis on you via poisonous gas. It leaks out from some level traps and enemy attacks, and if you're exposed to it, you'll see hallucinations like creepy Michael Myers-esque mirages or Skinner Man, an imagined enemy who can do you real harm if you're drained of your sanity. This results in some amazing social moments where you shout out a warning about a monster your friends don't see and begin to doubt your own eyes and ears. Only a few games like Dead Space 3 have dabbled in this kind of co-op trickery, and it's awesome. You'll also encounter doppelgangers of your teammates who, if you miss the slight differences in their player name, will shank you if you get too close. That's a fantastic curveball that makes you question whether you can even trust your own comrades. XP earned from completing levels can be spent to permanently unlock a fair selection of upgrades that make the going easier in each level. One of those is your rig, a special ability that lets you do things like stun an enemy with a thrown bomb or see items and enemies through walls with X-ray vision, all of which operate via cooldowns and lend some much-needed identity and role-based dynamics to your cooperative squad. There's also a number of appealing and helpful passive abilities that can be purchased, which let you do things like slide when sprinting into a crouch or automatically slip free of lesser enemies who manage to grab you. None of these unlockables get around the fact that you'll be repeating the same trials over and over again as you grind to obtain them, but they definitely make the optional tougher versions of each level more doable and give you more interesting options with which to tackle them. The more trials you play as your team improves, the more apparent it becomes that the computer-controlled psychopaths hunting you simply aren't smart enough to pull off the great ideas to which the Outlast trials aspires. Not only do they often get stuck, they also lose sight of you when they shouldn't and are easy to confuse in very exploitable ways. For example, scrambling over a desk or something to get away from an enemy often leaves them bamboozled as to how to get around the object, giving you ample time to casually stroll away. Even while completely drained of stamina and moving at a snail's pace, I was able to spam crawling over objects to escape, close doors in the faces of befuddled pursuers, and crouch in the dark just a few feet away from someone who should have easily been able to find me. Once you realize the AI's shortcomings, the killer represents more of an annoyance than anything frightening. That doesn't fully end the challenge of the Outlast trials, because while they may be dumb, they still constantly interrupt your objectives and send you scrambling to the nearest hiding spot. This is especially irritating in one level where you're supposed to follow water pipes along the wall, ceiling, and floor. It seemed that every time I approached the end of my objective, a monster would creep nearby, forcing me to dart away and hide, losing track of where I was and forcing me to start all over again. Speaking of early access issues, the amount of content available at this stage is pretty limited. There are essentially only 3 levels: the police station, the fun park, and the orphanage. It does come with a few permutations of each stage that use the same bad guy and setting while changing up the map and objectives a bit, which helps to squeeze just a little bit more variety out of each one. Even so, you're likely to have seen the vast majority of content in just 4 or 5 hours. It's especially disappointing that 2 of the levels, the fun park and the orphanage, share a lot in common, including the big bad that's chasing after you, making them feel way less distinct than the police station. The Outlast Trials is a unique cooperative horror game with a fantastic premise and some really memorable scenarios, but while the early access version proves the concept, there's a lot of work to be done to make those ideas pay off. Running around with friends as you hide from murderous killers and complete utterly insane and sometimes too edgy for their own good death games is paradoxically tense and hilarious. But the fact that the enemy AI is about as effective as a concrete parachute and 2 of the 3 levels share too much of the same DNA certainly leaves a lot of room to grow. For more, check out our recent reviews of The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom and Humanity. And for everything else, stick with IGN.
Now don't forget to visit IGN Rewards for your chance to take part in all of the giveaways happening all summer long. Just go on over to IGN.com/rewards right now and sign up to become a member of our growing community. Now there's tons more benefits like free codes for games like the online PvP and co-op virtual reality game Rift VR. Okay, now I've been here talking at you long enough. Right now, it's time to turn things over to Damon and the rest of the IGN crew to kick off the pre-show coverage of Summer Game Fest. Take it away.
Meet Dave, an interesting little human with a precarious love for the sea. He spends his days diving the chilling depths of a mysterious blue hole. And when he isn't merely surviving or rummaging resources, he's often found snapping photographs, racing seahorses, farming, and really anything that grabs his attention. It's this gluttonous appetite for adventure that gets him into all kinds of unique situations. Luckily, he's at the top of his game and at the top of the food chain. Oh boy, I suppose even the most voracious hunters have their off days. The sun sets as the vibrant lights of a sushi bar gleam over the ocean. Dave, still hard at work, is faced with the most ravenous of species, patrons. And while cooking, serving, and pouring drinks aren't the most treacherous part of his job, they're unequivocally crucial to his survival. The Blue Hole is home to unimaginable secrets. And with Dave's unquenchable thirst for discovery, there's no telling what he may encounter. Dive in and guide Dave through the dangerously dark depths of the daunting deep sea. Dave the Diver.
Hi everyone, I'm John DeShazer, and I'm the design director on EverCore Heroes. And today we have a really cool thing to show, 3 new heroes. One from each of our roles, a tank, a support, and a damage dealer. And I'm going to go over each one of them in some detail. So let's get started. Sidian is one of our tanks in EverCore Heroes. It's one of those characters that fulfills all of the classic roles of a tank. Damage mitigation, the ability to taunt, the ability to control some of the enemies and get them off of your allies. But he does it from a far away and with very unique spells. So let's dive into that a little bit. He has this ability to build up a shield, and he passes that shield off to allies. And when he passes that shield off, he will do a taunt and make all of the enemies nearby taunt your ally that has just been given that shield. This is a really unique spin on how to deliver taunt. Sometimes a mechanic that you really need to successfully defeat a certain objective. Additionally, he has some of the most powerful battlefield control through his Q, which allows him to effectively launch a skill shot, travel through enemies damaging them, and then on recast, suck all of them back to the center of the source. And this is a really powerful multi-layered ability, giving you some fun skill shot mechanics while also pulling enemies to a center point, which is often seen as a really fun way to combo with other allied abilities. So this combination of controlling the battlefield, offering allies damage mitigation, offering yourself some damage mitigation, creating really unique ways to taunt, are all ways in which Sidian still fulfills that role of tank, but does it from afar away through spells, which is really that unique and special offering that he has in the roster. With Skye, we wanted to create a mage with lots of battlefield control. She's a weather mage who can switch between water-based control abilities and lightning-based attacks. She can use her trait to switch between the forms, and every time she does, her spells modify based on which element she is. One water and one lightning, making her our weather mage. Water form is focused around giving her control elements, while lightning form is there to still give that classic mage punch. We wanted the mastery of weaving between the two forms to really let the great Skye players differentiate themselves and show off. You can see using the Q here, if positioned correctly, can be a very powerful tool in slowing a large group of enemies. Another one of the tools is if you use the E in lightning form, it's really great at interrupting powerful enemies and denying their attacks, letting her weave in another element of control. All of these control elements play really well with teammates, setting up great combos and keeping the battlefield easier to navigate, bringing a complexity that is fun while letting her base abilities stay simple. Chef is our very special pairing with the game. We felt it was something special to make our craziest hero in the roster a support with a very unique gameplay style. The fantasy we chased with Chef is quite unique. Players pick between 3 ingredients and combine them to prepare different dishes. This gives us a combination of 6 unique dishes, but once you've picked your ingredients, you aren't done. Next, you must cook the food, and we iterated on this quite a bit and found a simple undercooked, cooked, and burnt loop fit the best, as you are still a hero, dodging attacks, smacking things with your pan, while trying to get the food just right. When you deliver undercooked or burnt food, the benefits are dramatically diminished, but if you nail it, the food is perfect. It isn't too hot, it isn't too cold, and it's just right. You get the most out of it. Each ingredient has a theme associated with it. Q, or honey, is our healing ingredient. W, or chili, is our damaging ingredient, and E, or garlic, is our defensive ingredient. Any pairing of ingredients will match the gameplay of the overarching themes, especially when you do double Q for a really big heal. So you must keep an eye on your cooking UI and listen for the specific sounds to make sure that dish is at that perfect place to then hit your trait key and serve out your food to your teammates. Thank you all for checking out the new characters in Evercore Heroes today. Remember to visit our Evercore Heroes Discord community to share your thoughts on which character you're most excited to play. We can't contain our excitement either as we eagerly anticipate the launch of Evercore Heroes on June 20th. For those who can't wait to jump into the action, we invite you to join our closed beta. Simply head over to evercoreheroes.com, click on the store tab, and grab a Founders Pack to secure your spot. We look forward to playing with each and every one of you. See you in Evercore Heroes.
Wow, that was amazing. In fact, you're amazing. You deserve a reward, an IGN reward. Now, IGN Rewards will be giving away free gaming gear throughout our Summer of Gaming live showcases. Now, IGN Rewards is our online destination for IGN members to claim exclusive discounts and gain access to special in-game items. So be sure to tune in to IGN all through June for your chance to score some free game codes for games like the online PvP and co-op virtual reality game Rift VR, and a chance to win prizes like a 64GB Steam Deck and a $100 Nintendo gift card. The best thing about IGN Rewards is it's all free. Just go to IGN.com/rewards to join our growing community today. Right now, we've got game trailers, previews, and a bunch more. Let's take a look.
Rated M for mature. Born on the shoulders of 3 mighty statues, the resounding beat of a great heart could be heard emanating from the clouds. For the miracle was about to give birth to a child. A symbol in which all our faiths, pleas, and hopes might be united in communion.
This endless waiting has been my penance.
My name is Cherry. I was built to entertain my creator. They will pay for what they did to her.
Nossa, veio um bando de gente. Ai, chavinho, que pinto gostoso!
This here tale begins where Zed's tale's about to end. But before she can cash in her chips, something comes for her. Something frightening. The Undertaker? Death itself? The Undertaker? Death itself? And it's wielding a terrifying weapon full of incense? Must be Shrew, our resident gardener. Gone from Undertaker to medic. An odd change of career. But you can't argue with the remedies. A few whiffs of that, and the squad is right as rain. Better skedaddle, Shroom. With all the trouble your squaddies get into, they'll surely need your help. Smell the incense. May the herbs be with you. Try a whiff of this.
Well, wasn't that special? Now, as we continue counting down the moments to Jeff Keighley's Summer Game Fest, we want you to take advantage of IGN Rewards, IGN's special gift to the most devoted members in our community. Now, sign up now at IGN.com/rewards and gain access to free codes for games like the online PvP and co-op virtual reality game Rift VR. And you could win a gaming console, the hottest games out at the moment, plus a whole lot more. So join our growing community today by signing up. But for now, we continue our countdown with more trailers and gameplay. IGN Summer of Gaming continues right now.
I know you may not want to be here, but sometimes we get a chance to do something. Something that will change your life completely. You are here to make things right. Make pain your ally. Fear is a mentor. And luck? Try it for yourself. This place is full of surprises and dangers. But no matter what happens, stay human until the end.
Where you go? Hugão, vou assistir tua live, tá bom? Gostei da live, Hugão. Boa sorte.
Hello and welcome. This is Summer of Gaming. I'm Max Scoville.
And I'm Brian Altano.
In just a bit, Summer Game Fest kicks off, and we'll be counting down to that with an episode of Next Gen Console Watch, where we will go over what you can expect to see.
Don't forget to stick around for the post-show after, when we either say, I told you so, or hang our heads in shame when our predictions don't come true.
It happens. Before all that, we are getting closer looks at a handful of upcoming games, and that means new gameplay and developers answering some of our burning questions.
Up first, we've got something that's not really a game, but a new way to play them. If the words Atomic Purple mean anything to you, you don't want to miss this. So take a look.
The Joy-Cons and Switch dock aside for what they're calling the Nitro Deck from the newly formed gaming hardware brand called Cracked. And here to tell us more about it is Jack Guinchard, the co-creator of the Nitro Deck. How you doing, Jack?
Good, man. How you doing?
I am doing fantastic now that we got this new hardware here. So what can you tell us about the Nitro Deck? Like, what are some of the features and what kind of sets it apart from like the Joy-Cons and the regular Switch dock?
Absolutely, man. So we built the Nitro Deck for speed, comfort with zero stick drift. Essentially, you have Hall effect thumbsticks that eliminates the stick drift, which is a common issue that people have, right?
Yeah.
And it's not just the Nintendo Switch, it's not just the Joy-Cons. Any controller that has traditional thumbsticks kind of suffers from stick drift over time.
Yeah.
So that's really one thing that we really wanted to hone in on when we were making the Nitro Deck. At Cracked, we're creators, but we're also passionate gamers, right? We really wanted to hone in on something that gamers would love, and we wanted to create something that elevated the gaming experience.
What are some of like the inspirations for some of the designs that you guys created?
At Cracked, we really want to dive into premium collectible gaming gear, right? Like I said, we're passionate gamers, so we really want to create something that elevates the gaming experience, but also the collectability aspect. So not only are we focused on creating like high quality products, we've created a mobile app where all of our products kind of link to our collection system, which we can get into after, which is a cool aspect of what we're doing. So right here in front of us, we have 3 of the 7 variants available for pre-order. We have the base collection that comes in black, white, and gray. And then these 2 pieces are the first pieces of our nostalgia collection.
Well, like, so this one right here, I would say kind of reminds me of like the original Game Boy. Is that what we were kind of in, like Game Boy Advance maybe?
So this would be Super Nintendo and then
Super
GameCube.
Nintendo. I never owned a Super Nintendo, so I don't know. But
yeah, we also have a collaboration with Limited Run Games for some cool translucent versions, but maybe we'll sneak peek those soon.
Ooh, very nice. Well, one of the things for like, you know, the Xbox and the PlayStation, they have like these premium controllers that allow you to kind of remap buttons and whatnot. So can you speak to like the, I guess, remapping of the buttons here?
Yeah, so on the back, you have some remappable back buttons. It's easy to remap. There's a program button you hold down for 3 seconds, and you essentially press whatever button you want to remap on the front to the back, and then it adds versatility to your gameplay. So you can really express your true game style, right, or your play style.
It kind of reminds me of like a Steam Deck almost, which I think is cool. And I like that you all have like these varieties and designs. One other thing I really want to ask you, so what happens, because you know, sometimes us Switch gamers, we like to play on our television. So what happens when you kind of plug this into your television? Are you able to still use the Nitro Deck as a controller, or how does that work?
So we built this for the handheld experience. We really wanted to upgrade the handheld experience and take the Switch to the next level. If you needed an extra controller, you can always take the screen out, you can always dock it, and you can always connect a USB-C connection and play as an extra controller.
That's really cool. So let me look at the back here. Is there's a way to prop this up by itself? Because like right here we have these these tiny things here, but
so we have the display stand here that pops out. I can help you if you want. Shouldn't be too difficult. There you go.
This is so cool. I'm really in love with this. Like again, like coming from like the Steam Deck, which is a lot bigger. Like this, I feel at home with this thing, especially with the you know, remappable buttons on the back of this thing, and I love this so much. So I'm really curious. When can we expect this to hit the market, and how much is it going for?
So you can pre-order the Nitro Deck right now. It goes live right now. There are different editions, there's different collections, and like I said, we really want to lean into the collectability of our products as well. There's 2 price points. The base collection is $59.99. You just get the controller. For the limited editions, it comes with a carry case, it comes with a 2.5 meter USB-C cable, which is an extra long cable so that you can play from the comfort of your couch. And then it comes with thumbstick toppers because the thumbsticks are swappable as well. So those are the 2 editions, standard editions, limited editions. You can pre-order now.
You mentioned you have like a surprise.
We have a surprise for you. Are you ready for your surprise?
I'm ready. Yeah, I want to know what this surprise is. I rarely get surprised.
So when we start thinking
on these
about
shows,
so when we start thinking about collections and limited editions, I'll let you open it. But we created your very own IGN exclusive.
No way. Okay.
It's a full unboxing experience, and it's designed by hardware designer, artist. Pope Art.
Pope Art, okay.
I don't know if you guys know of Pope Art, but he is like the controller art legend.
Very familiar. Yes. All right. Oh my goodness.
So you just slide it out, you pop it open, and
oh my goodness! Look at this! Look at this! This is amazing. It's a customized IGN Nitro Deck. Whoa. Dude, you didn't have to, Jack.
Come on, man.
You didn't have to. But I appreciate this. Can I keep the screen too? Can I keep the?
I mean, we can talk about it.
No, this is amazing. Tell me more. Tell me about this design. I want to know about this design.
So our good friend Pope, we wanted to come together and create something unique and special for you guys. We appreciate us being here and talking about the Nitro Deck. So we wanted to create an experience for you to really cherish. So we created a IGN exclusive version of the Nitro Deck, and it also pairs with our mobile app, and it's a one-of-one exclusive design.
So no one else will have this?
No one else will have that one, no.
You all have an app that can tell me just how rare this Nitro Deck is?
Yeah. So we have a mobile app that we've built at Cracked, and it's called our True Collection System. And basically, any product that we create going forward will be part of this collection. This is where you can authenticate digital proof of physical ownership. You can scan it or tap it into your collection, and when you do so, it's as easy as tapping your phone to the product, and it recognizes it. You go through a digital reveal experience where you can record your experience. It reveals the product number out of the batch. So for example, for that one, for the IGN version, it would be number 1/1 exclusive IGN edition. But maybe for the retro purple edition, it would be you got number 50 out of 5,000. And then you add it to your secure collection. It's basically just a hub for your collection of cracked products. And that's something that we've really wanted to create and we've been working on for the past year, in addition to all of the products that we kind of are thinking about creating.
I love that idea. So like, let's say you make like 5,000 of them. Like I feel like there's something to be said if like I got like number 2 out of 5,000.
Yeah.
You know, so.
And there's 3 different ranks: the silver, diamond, and cracked. Obviously, the higher the product number, the lower the rank, and vice versa. But it really adds to that collectible experience too, right? Not just the physical experience, and it's kind of bridging the gap between the two.
Awesome. Well, Jack, I want to thank you so much for telling us a little bit more about the Nitro deck, and also for my gift. This is my gift, everyone. IGN Summer of Game continues after this, so keep it right here.
That was a look at cracked controllers right here on IGN Summer of Gaming. So if you're looking for a way to give your Switch that kind of new car smell, that could be a solid option because after all, Nintendo said we shouldn't be expecting new hardware until April of next year at the very earliest.
Now, I'm personally fine with my Switch smelling like Robitussin and potato salad, but I do wish it looked more like an atomic purple Steam Deck.
It's deeply concerning. Anyway, up next, we got a chance to check in with Night School Studio to see what's in store for their much anticipated sequel, Oxenfree 2: Lost Signals. Check it out.
We've been all over. We've seen different timelines, gone back to the past. We're alone.
Here to talk Oxenfree 2: Lost Signals. I'm joined by studio director Sean Krenkel and lead writer Adam Hines from Night School Games. Welcome.
Thanks for having us. Thanks for having us.
So, quickly set the scene for us. Where are we at the start of Oxenfree 2? What's going on? Who do we play as?
Well, you're right back in the town of Kamina. It takes place about 5 years after the first one. You play as Riley Poverly. She is an environmental researcher who was drawn back to her hometown. She's been contracted by a paranormal investigation group to investigate these weird signals that they can't really tell what it's coming from. They can't tell if it's a natural source, if it's an unnatural source, but it's affecting electronic equipment in the town. So she's been tasked to basically figure out where it's coming from.
Do you recommend people play the first Oxenfree to get the most out of the sequel, or is it pretty standalone?
It's definitely standalone as a story, but it would be awesome if you played the first one, because I think that, you know, the way we've treated it is that the world of Kamina and then Edwards Island, which is the place that's nearby that the first game took place in, the events that are taking place in Oxenfree 2 tie somewhat to what happened in Oxenfree 1. So what I mean by that is, you know, at the end of the first game, I won't spoil it too much, but I will say that things get resolved in a particular way and some portals get closed up and we feel maybe good about what happened. And at the beginning of Oxenfree 2, we realized that there is this cult-like shadowy group in Kamina that are trying to open a portal, really undoing all of the things that had been accomplished in the first game. So they tie together in that way, but otherwise we have a new protagonist, a new sort of storyline. It's almost like getting the best of an anthology approach, but having it be a shared universe.
Interesting. The original, highly influenced by teenage coming-of-age stories. Would you say that's the same for the sequel?
Sort of. So, you know, I think one thing for us this time out was that we wanted to make sure that whatever story we told and whatever, you know, trauma we were going to throw our characters through had a reason to exist. And I think in the first game, you know, we really closed out Alex's story and felt like it was pretty complete. And so in this one, we thought, okay, if the first one was a coming-of-age story for a teenager, what does coming-of-age look like for somebody in their 30s? And how do we do a coming-of-age story that grapples with generations and parenting and all of these other things that you know, could be interesting for you know, people in that age range? So it's a coming-of-age story for somebody in their 30s.
Well, that's interesting. Yeah. Are there any new gameplay mechanics you've added this time around?
One of the biggest ones that we've seen in other games before is a walkie-talkie, but the way that our walkie works is actually really unique in that you can sort of asynchronously start conversations with people that you meet around Kamina at any time. So if Oxenfree 1 was very much about being in the moment and having, you know, your dialogue bubbles popping up over you and that we're having our real-time interaction, I can bust out my radio and call somebody at any time and sort of intertwine my story with what's happening on other places in Kamina. So, you know, inspired by Metal Gear Solid, things like that, but doing it in a way that overlaps with the writing of Oxenfree, which was a giant new challenge for this guy.
Yeah, it was fun this time, allowing the player to start conversations with people at any time that they wanted. Whereas before, you could only really react to what Jonas wanted to bring up, and you could kind of guide the conversations, of course, but now players can kind of pull out the walkie-talkie at any point and just ask a question of someone that they've already met.
Speaking of all that writing, the original had several different endings. Did you have to choose one that's canon? Going forward?
Didn't, because thankfully this world uses a lot of different timelines and a lot of different kind of multiversal properties. So we were able to kind of cheekily reference anything that the players were able to do in the first game as something that could have potentially happened for the sequel.
Could players look forward to multiple endings again this time around?
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I think the way we like to approach it is almost like a modular grabbing of decisions and outcomes in the story so that everybody gets a custom ending. Oxenfree 1 did that, and we lean into that even more in this one because I don't want to oversell it and say like there's 8 million endings and permutations of endings, but everybody's ending will be pretty custom for them, and it's definitely we care a lot about player agency and sort of feeding back to the player that their choices matter.
Now the music in the original played a big part in setting the very cool eerie atmosphere. Can we expect sort of a similar experience this time around?
We have been very fortunate to work with Andy Rarman, whose artist name is Scientific, and we've worked with him on all of our games. And then he joined our studio actually about a year ago full time. And so we love this aesthetic of like chill yet unsettling, something that you can kind of hang out in. And I don't know, our studio's playing a lot of Dredge right now too, which has a similar thing going on. Shout out Dredge. But yeah, I think that Andy's work on this one is incredible too. Like the vibes are awesome, and he's actually tried a lot of new orchestration. Is that the orchestral approaches to the scoring?
Cool.
Yeah.
The original was very well received, but were there any criticisms that you took on and sort of implemented into the sequel?
The big one was, and I'll totally take the blame for this on the first one, is, and the whole team fought me on it, was just being able to customize the levels of certain things. I was like, no, you have to hear the sound effects at the exact same level and everything, but now you're just able to modify the experience just for usability and just where you are when you're playing it. We had just a lot of options of just being able to like slow down subtitles and just things like that.
Yeah. I think another one, and this was like not necessarily even from the public so much as a self-critique, was like we didn't have any human antagonists really in that first one, which felt quite cool, but we're excited to have this new kind of shadowy cult figure now because we've got a real threat that feels a little bit more mortal and similar to us, and as well as treating the supernatural as like the backdrop to all of it.
Interesting. Now there have also been reports of a possible Oxenfree movie or TV series. What's the status of that project?
Yeah, it's been talked about for a hot minute now. We are, well, now that we're part of Netflix, that opens up a lot of awesome opportunities. I will say we're very early in developing what that could look like, but the versions that we've talked about in the past, those have sort of slowed down. So yes, there's a big opportunity for it, but nothing to announce yet.
Got it. We're excited to finally get to play Oxenfree 2. Don't have to wait too long. It's coming to PC and consoles later this summer on July 12th. Sean, Adam, thank you so much for joining us here on IGN Summer of Gaming.
Thank you.
Oxenfree was great as a standalone adventure, but it was a terrible sequel to Ollie Ollie. There was no skateboarding whatsoever.
I'm pretty sure those are completely unrelated games, but hey, maybe you can do some ollies in Oxenfree 2.
Ollie Ollie lets you free some livestock. I demand Oxenfree has some ollieing in it.
Just stop that immediately. We gotta take a very quick break, but when we come back, tons more Summer of Gaming in our Summer Game Fest Countdown Show. We'll return right after this.
Ollie
Stick
Ollie
around.
Oxenfree!
Ollie Ollie Oxenfree!
This broadcast is brought to you by the Xfinity 10G network. Get a game-changing connection today for a faster, more reliable tomorrow. The future starts now.
Tune into IGN1 on your smart TVs for the latest news on your favorite releases, gameplay exclusives, and all the entertainment you can handle.
Cinefix on IGN1, your friendly Friday night home for film fanaticism.
You're watching The Weekly Fix, ready to fill you in on anything you may have missed in the world of gaming and entertainment.
Welcome to Should I Play This?
This is what to watch here on IGN1.
Find it all in one place for free on IGN1.
They turned into a network. Who knew?
The Cinefix Top 100. A list so secretive even we don't know what movies are on it or where they rank.
What do you mean you don't know.
Each episode will reveal one of the movies.
Did I rush it? Felt like I rushed.
That was good. I liked it. Talk about why it belongs and finally find out where it ranks.
Are you not entertained?
Are any of the movies we've shown here even on the list? I have no idea, and it drives me crazy. Join us as we find out on the Cinefix Top 100, Mondays, starting July 3rd.
Why so serious?
Want the ultimate IGN experience? Check out IGN Plus. Members get exclusive deals and giveaways, ad-free browsing, unlimited tracking on IGN Maps, discounts at the IGN store and with IGN partners, and best of all, free games. Get 30 days of IGN Plus for just $1. Head to plus.ign.com.
Cards of Eternity is a digital collectible competitive card game set in a dark fantasy shared universe known as Aether. What sets it apart from other online TCGs is that users can freely trade and sell their collection as if they were real, tangible cards. Let's take a look.
Feel my anger and nature's fury. I hear your heartbeat. I can feel the anger taking over!
Of my mercy.
Hello there. This is IGN Summer of Gaming, and if you're just now tuning in, don't worry because there is still plenty more coming up.
Now, up next, we've seen a few popular gaming YouTubers venture into game development themselves, and Damon got a chance to catch up with one of them. So, check it out.
What's up, everybody? This is IGN Summer of Gaming. I'm Damon Hadfield, and right now we've got 3 very cool indie games to check out. And here to tell us about them is Gerard the Completionist. Welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. I'm really excited to talk about our games.
I'm excited to talk about these games, too. I've checked them all out, and they all look like games that I would want to play.
That's the hope, man. We really hope that people like these stuff. They all look really cool and really special.
You have a lot of experience finishing games on the playing side. Now you're lending your talents to helping them get finished. Which is harder, 100%ing games or actually helping them get made?
From a content creation perspective, completing games is way more difficult than this, just from my role. But this feels a lot more satisfying, just being able to see and work with these developers who are so passionate about the stuff that they love. That's kind of why I got into it, was just talking to them, getting to know them about their games. They're so passionate about the stuff they make, and that's why I make my stuff. And
Sure.
so it was just a natural fit that I started working with these guys.
It must be a fun exercise too, to think about games differently rather than being on the playing end to the creation end. Is that right?
Absolutely, yeah. You start to notice, how does tutorialization work in educating the player versus just being someone that's like, I need to skip through this to get to the game.
Sure.
So you kind of start to think things about it a little more differently from that angle of how you play a game versus how you make a game.
Well, let's take a look at our first game. This is Gestalt Steam and Cinder, a 2D Metroidvania with a very cool steampunk aesthetic. We've been following this game for a while. I think it was announced in 2020. So for a few years now. What's sort of the gist with Gestalt?
Oh man, so Gestalt, the top-down pitch that we say about Gestalt is what if Square Enix made Castlevania Symphony of the Night?
Whoa, okay.
And that's kind of our pitch. It's set in this steampunk era, in the civilization that's kind of living in this cavern. and you play as this character named Alethea. She's a mercenary, she's a bounty hunter, just kind of all in it for herself, just living life day by day, paycheck to paycheck, and upon a routine job that she got, she encounters some old world technology that starts giving her visions, and suddenly this criminal organization / government organization starts pursuing her in this mysterious tip that she found. And it's this roller coaster of how she's trying to outrun them, but also learn why she's having these visions and what the tech really is about.
Is the Square Enix influence the story, would you say?
I would say the Square Enix influence is definitely the story. It's more or less the classic aesthetic, I think, of that PlayStation 1 graphical era. Obviously, Symphony of the Night is a very important aspect to our DNA, but you definitely get the sense that the story is very important here. It's not just like a pick up and play and destroy enemies. There is a narrative that is intertwined throughout.
Symphony of the Night occurred to me when I first saw it, but also maybe Mega Man X?
A little bit, a little bit for sure. Mega Man X is one of my favorite games of all time, so that's definitely what drew me to it as well. But definitely Symphony of the Night is kind of our starting basis for the game.
Very cool. All right, up next, a bright and colorful, fast-paced, roguelike action platformer. Gerard, what can you tell us about Elsie?
Whew, Elsie is so fun. I'd say that game is more closely to Mega Man X than Gestalt. Elsie, you play as our character Elsie. She is this android who's set to essentially restore Earth from these like ancient beings that have been retired. And so each atmosphere and stage is based off of a different element. So a fire stage, an ice stage, a wind stage, a lightning stage. But the whole thing is it's a Mega Man X roguelike aesthetic essentially. The cool thing that makes the game so unique to me is the parry system that's in it. It's very much similar to that of Gears of War. And how you use the parry mechanic is like you would reload when you're reloading a gun in Gears of War. And if you hit that parry system, you create an AoE blast that kind of neutralizes the enemies around you, as well as you get stamina back to you. So as you're shooting your guns and you're using your special weapons, the more you dodge and weave between enemies and parry correctly, the more the requirement of strength comes back to you. And it kind of leans into this whole idea of kinetic energy. You're constantly dashing through enemies, shooting them with weapons, and it's electric. The whole thing is about movement.
Describe the roguelike aspect of it too.
Every time you play the game, you're getting a different run. So all the enemy layouts, all the rooms, all the weapons that you get. The game is about breaking itself. You're all about becoming overpowered. So that's what drew me to it when I first played it. It became this game where the more weapons I got and the more the runs went on longer and the more stuff I discovered, the more insane the guns would become, or my jump would become, or my dash or parry would show up. At one point, when I first played it, I was just simply tapping the shoot button, and suddenly half the screen is covered in neon colors and missiles and explosions. And I didn't know what was happening, but I knew immediately, oh, this game is about trying to break it. And it purely is that through and through.
That sounds super fun. I like the feeling of becoming OP, especially in a roguelike game, if everything lines up and your run goes really super well.
Yeah.
Finally, Renane has a wonderful old school look, has you helping colorful characters with their ridiculous problems. Is that right?
Yes. This game is very funny. It's very cute. It's very charming. One of my favorite things about Renane is there's a little character that follows you around that you can get called a Chompy. It's this cute little white being. And it's essentially, I don't want to say like a dog, but it's a pet that follows you around. And as you play the game and progress, your Chompy can also level up with you. So you can customize your Chompy, and almost in this Chow minigame garden aesthetic where you can dress him up, you can give him certain fruits and elements, and this little being just kind of helps you as you kind of dash your way through and attack and help people out. It's real fun.
I think the game has been described as a platformer that's inspired by fighting games. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'd say it's, in terms of the combat especially, when you're in combat, everything feels like there's a bit of a footsies mechanic to it, right? You're how close the enemy is to you and your distance and how you can jump on them or attack them. It feels very balanced in that way. No matter what your weapon loadout is or how you're progressing through the game, you never feel like you're at ends with it. It's all about, just taking your time and really enjoying the view. The thing that really blows me away is the music. The music is this jazz hypnotic fusion, and it's phenomenal. The whole time you're just gonna be rocking out.
I noticed that the Steam page in the description says the music slaps. So
It's very true. That is on the marquee for our game. The music does in fact slap.
In addition to combat, can we expect puzzles, side quests, exploration?
Definitely side quests and exploration. Side quests being the biggest thing. You're obviously helping the denizens of all these different atmospheres and environments. the main character is kind of like a Link in the way of just like listening and reactionary, but also very expressionary. You know, you see that within the pixel art, the little like eyebrows and dips and lows, and you're really just about trying to be the good person in the room and help friends, and you see the characters kind of all really rely on the main character as you're kind of moving throughout.
Well, as I said, all three of these games look super fun. They look like games I would want to play. While they play differently, they all have a sort of a retro throwback aesthetic. Is that by design? Are these the types of games you're interested in getting made?
Absolutely. I jokingly call these my games of my own personal Infinity Gauntlet, where I have like, this is my action platformer with Renee, and this is my Mega Man X roguelike with Elsie, and this is my Symphony of the Night with Gestalt, and it worked out that way for me personally. But these games, I think what really drew me to them is not only their graphical aesthetic with how they look, because they remind you of that genre or of that style of game we played when we were kids, but more importantly, the combat and the way these games play is as fluid as it looks in the trailer. When you pick it up and get a chance to play it, you're not being sold this weird like whoopsie switch. What you see is what you get, and if it looks fun, it is fun. And that was kind of my mentality when it came to approaching these developers and working with them.
Well, they definitely look fun. You can wishlist Gestalt, Steam and Cinder, Elsie, and Renee on Steam today. Gerard, thank you so much for joining us here on Summer of Gaming.
IGN Summer of Gaming is presented by Immortals of Avium, available July 20th on PC, PS5, and Xbox Series X and S.
So you like IGN, huh? The news, the videos, the guides, and wikis, it's all in your wheelhouse. But do you ever wish there was more? Introducing IGN Plus, a brand new program that's loaded with tons of cool perks and benefits. Sign up for IGN Plus today and you'll unlock free games and in-game content every month, a free subscription to Map Genie Plus, huge discounts for stuff like Dream Gear, Power A, Humble Bundle, the IGN Store, and tons more. IGN Plus is just $29.99 a year for a limited time. You deserve a little extra.
Behind every game, movie, and TV show you love is a wild, crazy, and sometimes unbelievable story.
No one is just black and white.
From revealing the secrets behind your favorite franchises to solving a legendary video game mystery,
I'm coming for you.
IGN Inside Stories gives you a peek behind the curtain.
If people come to the game now and see what's going on there, I think they'll be surprised.
Join us as we dive into hyper-dedicated fan bases, worldwide phenomenons, and the most incredible untold tales in games and entertainment.
I said, wait a minute, that doesn't sound so good.
It was definitely not what I expected in the best way.
Inside Stories, available now only on IGN.
And I was like, holy shit, we're gonna do this.
Have you been stuck on the same quest for just way too long?
I just want answers.
IGN strategy guides and interactive maps are here to help. IGN guides are trusted by millions, easy to use, and of course, free. You can even track your progress with handy checklists if you go for 100% just like we do.
We're gonna be going over some sensitive material.
IGN has the very best, most complete, and accurate guides for The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, Star Wars Jedi Survivor, The Witcher 3, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, Elden Ring, and so much more.
I will require some time to process this information.
Every guide is tested and verified for you by experts. Just search for IGN.
Welcome to Game Changers, brought to you by the game-changing Xfinity 10G network, where we cover off on the hottest news and highlights that you don't want to miss. Whether you're streaming, competing, or just chatting with your community, the Xfinity 10G network gives you a powerful connection today while building towards a faster, more reliable tomorrow. Now, let's take a look at some game-changing highlights from IGN Summer of Gaming. PlayStation kicked off IGN Summer of Gaming with that PlayStation showcase that saw the revival of a beloved franchise, Metal Gear Solid Delta, Snake Eater. Or is it Triangle? And according to the developers, the symbol Delta was chosen to signify change or difference without altering structure, meaning remake? Another heavy hitter for PlayStation was the Spider-Man 2 extended demo that showed off Peter Parker's new symbiote suit. Phantom Blade Zero is a stylish steampunk game that puts a heavy emphasis on looking cool at all times. Bungie revived their original first-person shooter Marathon with a stylized trailer. Marathon is an extraction shooter a la Escape from Tarkov. Dragon's Dogma 2 finally got a gameplay trailer. If you haven't, please play Dragon's Dogma. Assassin's Creed Mirage got a release date, coming October 12th. The Plucky Squire got a gameplay trailer and looks to be a link between world-style adventure that lets you transition between 2 and 3D. Ghost Runner is back with a sequel, allowing you to once again live out your cyberpunk ninja fantasies. Other standouts include Neva, Cat Quest Pirates of the Caribbean, and so much more. But I'm out of time. Stay tuned for more Game Changers brought to you by the game-changing Xfinity 10G network.
I command thee.
You can't spell Jeff Keighley without 3 E's. But does he have what it takes to carry the E3 torch? Welcome to IGN Summer of Gaming. Today, it's Summer Game Fest. The Summer Game Fest pre-show kicks off right now, right here on IGN Summer of Gaming.
Hello and welcome to IGN's Summer of Gaming. Summer Game Fest is about to begin and is sure to include a lot of big game reveals. I'm your host, Damon Hatfield from IGN GameScoop, and joining me now are Ryan McCaffrey, host of IGN's Xbox Show, Podcast Unlocked, Max Scoville, host of IGN's PlayStation Show, Podcast Beyond, and John Davison, publisher of IGN. Welcome, everybody. Everybody ready to see some games today?
It's a good day today.
Yeah, good day to see some games. For the next half hour, we'll be breaking down what games we think might make an appearance today. Before we get started, remember that IGN Summer of Gaming is going on all through June. Head to IGN.com for a full calendar of the big live events and non-stop coverage of everything happening in between. Summer Game Fest is coming up in a bit. We want to hear what you think of it all. Tweet at us during the show using the hashtag IGN Summer of Gaming. Afterwards, we'll be using the Lenovo Legion Slim 7i, powered by a 13th gen Intel Core i9 processor, to see what you all had to say. But first, let's talk about what we know we'll see. 40 game publishers and studios have partnered with Summer Game Fest, and Jeff Keighley promised some pretty big surprises, but a few games are confirmed to show up. Number one is Mortal Kombat 1. I think we can expect a big gameplay reveal. We know it's coming out September 19th. There were some possible leaked DLC characters in Peacemaker and Homelander. Peacelander and Homemaker would be
I would play that. That
pretty
would be awesome.
formidable opponent. Mortal Kombat 1 is in a little bit of an interesting position right now because Street Fighter 6 just launched, had a huge, big, successful launch, and now Mortal Kombat 1 has to be like, hey guys, remember me, I'm still coming too, don't forget about me.
I don't think it's going to have a problem gathering attention if the numbers on the trailer on IGN's website and YouTube channel or anything to go by, but yeah, what a year for fighting games.
Tekken 8 too.
Tekken 8 as well.
Yeah, I mean,
it's the big three, yeah.
It's just incredible. I mean, Mortal Kombat, you know that they're confident when they have the shortest window from announcement to release for a AAA game that I can recall since, I mean, it's even shorter than Fallout 4 was. When I remember that's the one, they announced it right before E3 of 2015 and shipped it in October or November. This is announced in, the end of May, basically, and it's out in...
We got an exclusive reveal from WB CEO David Zaslav.
That's true.
Blurted it out in
That's true.
earnings call.
Which Ed Boon probably still wakes up in a cold sweat about that one, but now the game's out there and everybody's loving that first trailer, and yeah, that gameplay trailer is going to be highly watched today.
What do we want to see from this? It's some sort of a reboot, resetting the universe. I loved the single-player mode in Mortal Kombat 12, so I'm hoping it has a robust single-player like that one again. But I don't know. What do you expect to see?
I think something more like using the 3D environments more. They've done a really good job in the past, and with this, I'm blanking on the super Injustice, where you would like break through the environment. I think there'll be more of that. But I think I'm kind of like hoping that we kind of go back to some of the ideas from back in the Soul Calibur days, where you sort of like going around, like really breaking the tradition of, and going back to this like being able to move in the Z-axis and like kind of take people on from the side and stuff.
Yeah. Very excited for Mortal Kombat 1. I'm also very excited for Alan Wake 2. Ryan, I know this is up your alley as well.
It's very up my alley. I mean, it's still, the first Alan Wake's one of my favorite exclusives from the Xbox 360 days. Of course, it's since come to other platforms. The remaster is out now. If you haven't played Alan Wake 1, it holds up really well. The remaster is excellent. But this game, it's not only have we waited over a decade for it, but it's not, what I love, it's not just gonna be a more Alan Wake. The first game was, it was a third-person action-adventure with maybe some little psychological horror, scary elements, but really it was a narrative third-person action-adventure game. This time, Remedy is leaning full into, they've said this is a survival horror game. Right. So they are going heavy on the horror. Even the little bits we've seen here that we're looking at on screen now, it's got a little bit more of a Resident Evil vibe to it in terms of the sort of the pace of the combat and how the camera's in a little bit closer. I mean, and Remedy, by the way, they've always used their own in-house technology, their own engine, which is called Northlight, that's always excelled pretty well across the board, but especially at character faces and just what we've seen so far. This is a next-gen only game, which, we're pretty much at that point anyway.
Isn't this Unreal 5?
No. This is Northlight. Well, Epic's publishing the game, yeah. I don't know, this may be the first time Epic's publishing a game that doesn't run on Unreal Engine, but it certainly stands up tech-wise, yeah. Alan Wake 2, perfect. I mean, we always get horror games every year, or in the spooky season, and Alan Wake 2 is it's going to be tough to knock that one off the top of my horror game wish list for this fall.
That one's coming out October 17th. It is a little bit curious that they missed the obvious date, because there's a Friday the 13th in October this year. I don't know why they didn't want to take that one, but they went with October 17th. Max, are you a fan of the first Alan Wake?
I actually never played it. There was a time when I was a big scaredy cat about horror games, but I don't know what happened to my brain over COVID, but I'm much more into them now, so I'm excited to dive in. I mean, there's definitely a lot of games on my backlog right now, but if I get to it, maybe I'll check out the remake. But I'm also kind of curious, there's a lot of people like me who maybe didn't play the first one when it came out. Interesting to see how this works, if it's a standalone story or not.
Yeah, well, it is the sequel. It's a direct sequel, follows on from, because there's Alan Wake, and then there was 2 expansions. There was American Nightmare, and now there's Control. It's also connected to Control, and it takes place after all of that. So excited to see more of Alan Wake 2. Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty. There was a little bit of a leak on this one. They leaked a price, and I think a pre-order went up live a little bit early on. $34.99 for that.
Which would imply that it's a pretty substantially sized expansion.
Well, it's been over 3 years now since Cyberpunk was released.
Is it really?
2020.
Wow. Two and a half?
December, 21, 22, 23.
Time is meaningless.
2.5. 2.5 years. 2.5 years. Obviously, Cyberpunk launched into a rocky state, but it's in a great spot now. I just wonder if it's going to be hard to pull people back into Cyberpunk now when there are all these other great new games coming out.
I don't think so. I mean, it looks amazing. It has Idris Elba in it.
It does have Idris Elba.
But I think, once Cyberpunk, I mean, a lot of people bitched about the technical issues, but when they fixed it, there were a lot of people playing this game.
Oh yeah.
And I think what they did with the environment and the storyline, people love immersing themselves in it. I think people are raring to get back.
There's still nothing really like Cyberpunk in terms of, I mean, obviously there are other open world role-playing games, but nothing with that aesthetic, nothing with that kind of vibe to it. So yeah, I think this is going to be a major release, even though it's just an expansion.
I mean, CDPR has a pretty good track record for that. The Blood and Wine expansion for The Witcher was an entire other realm, and I don't know if we're going to see that here, if it's going to be using existing Night City or what, but that expansion was $20, and that was massive. So if
inflation,
that's true.
It's probably the 2023 equivalent of $20.
Fair enough, yeah. But I'm excited to see what the scale of it is at this point.
All right, another game we're going to see more of is Baldur's Gate 3. That one's out. It's been in early access for 3 years now, but it's going to finally get its official release on August 31st. And that was coming to PC and PS5. No Xbox One just quite yet. We'll get to that in just a moment. But this is the next game from Larian Studios, developers of Divinity, Original Sin 1 and 2, role-playing games that I love. And this one is a Dungeons & Dragons game. You were saying when we were talking about this yesterday, you were wondering maybe if people would get a little confused between Diablo 4 and this, but this is going to be very, very different.
I think so, yeah. I mean, I think compared to this, Diablo is even more of like a shooter, right?
Diablo is like Baldur's Gate 3 on cocaine.
Yeah, right.
Did a few rails and then, oh, now we're playing Diablo 4.
Right. But I think, thematically, I think they're leaning into the darkness that Diablo is doing. Just look at this, right? It's a lot darker than we typically see in D&D games. But the Baldur's Gate games have always had these kind of dark undertones to them, and there's a massive fan base for this.
This is gross.
This game has had some of the most disgusting trailers I've ever seen in my life. Remember the first trailer? It was like, I was just dry heaving watching that first trailer.
But Ryan, the developers have said it's not coming to Xbox at launch because they're having trouble getting the split screen co-op to work with Xbox Series X and S. Maybe the S is the issue there.
Yeah, the quote's a little vague on that, but yeah, it's, when these consoles, the three of us, sorry John, do Next Gen Console Watch every week on IGN, and we've been talking about this since the run-up to these consoles in 2020, where it's like, okay, Microsoft's taking this very unique kind of PC-like strategy with their next generation consoles of having a lower powered one and a higher powered one, the Series S, the Series X. And is our developers going to be hamstrung by the Series S at all, of having to achieve parity on it and ship the game on the Series S? And so far, the answer's been no. Everything's worked pretty well on the Series S. They're obviously not running native 4K. The box isn't designed to do that. But this is the first time where a major prominent developer has come out and said, yeah, we're shipping, what was it, August 31st, I believe it was, for PC and PS5, but we'd like to get it out then for Xbox, but we don't know if we can because, we can't quite get it to where we need it to be.
Because of a feature that works perfectly fine on the Nintendo 64.
Yeah, I have to imagine this is, again, they didn't explicitly say it, but this has got to be Series S related, and I would imagine as soon as they publicly said that, there were Microsoft engineers that called them up immediately, and I'm sure are working with them. But until we get that announcement that the Xbox version is coming, then we have to assume it's not.
I feel like this game has had sort of a rocky just path from announcement to, like, it was revealed as a Stadia launch title, and it was early access on there, and it has outlived, like, its release has outlived the entire Stadia lifespan. Like, that got discontinued back in January. And, it's got plenty of time in early access. I imagine all that sort of, beta and user feedback is going to benefit it. It is really weird because we got the release date during a Sony State of Play showcase, what have you. And, typically when they announce something on a Sony stream, they have the PlayStation logo at the end, even if it is cross-platform. And I think there was some confusion there because it's like coming to PC, coming to PS5, no mention of Xbox, and that's a kind of a nightmare messaging-wise. But, hopefully everyone gets to play it.
I'm excited to play that one. The next game we're going to see today is Immortals of Avium. This is the single-player, first-person magic shooter. And Ryan, I believe you played this one.
I did. There's a preview on IGN.com if you'd like to check that out, video preview. This is, I think, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I believe this is the first major Unreal Engine 5 game to ship. I think Fortnite got upgraded to UE5. Obviously, it's Epic's own game, their own technology, but it's outside of Epic's walls.
There's also Lords of the Fallen, but I think that's
coming, in October, I believe it is. And Lords of the Fallen's gorgeous, but so is Immortals of Avium. It really is. It is a beautiful first-person shooter. I was playing on PC. It ran great, felt great. I'm old, Damon. Actually, we've got a couple. Everybody but Max at this table is old.
Yeah. So we'll remember Hexen and Heretic.
Exactly, Hexen and Heretic.
Man, I played Heretic.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. So for our fellow olds out there, when I mentioned Heretic and Hexen, you will that'll bring a smile to your face. And that definitely, it has that kind of vibe where there are no guns. You are casting spells that some of them, of course, mirror gun-like things, but it looks great, runs great. There are different combos you can do with the three different magic types.
So it's like elemental, right? There's like blue, red, and green or something in there.
The dialogue is not great. The main character is extraordinarily annoying, so that I expect is not going to be magically fixed when I get the full game. I played about 2-3 hours of it. But the gameplay is super fun, and it's out in July, which is probably the best window they could possibly get this year. Amidst all, we're still in this massive wave of spring games with Zelda, Diablo, Street Fighter, and Final Fantasy 16 coming up, and then the fall's going to be huge as well. We already talked about Mortal Kombat. So July, I think Pikmin 4 is the only other game, and Immortals of Aveum is not coming to Switch, being an Unreal Engine 5 video game. So yeah, I hope it ends up being a good game. The slice I played was fun.
It's made by people that used to be at Visceral, right?
Yeah, the Brett Robbins is the studio head and the project director. He goes back to Visceral on Dead Space, and then went with Michael Condrey and Glenn Schofield to Sledgehammer and did the Sledgehammer Call of Duty games as well. So you know,
feel good.
Yeah, and it does.
Yeah.
It plays really nicely. So yeah, I've enjoyed what I've played of it so far.
All right, as you can see, the countdown, the official countdown to Summer Game Fest has begun. We're just about 12 and a half minutes out now. As soon as that counts down to 0, we will hand you over to Jeff Keighley for all the big announcements and trailers, and then make sure to stay tuned afterwards for our complete post-show coverage. Lies of P is another game that's confirmed to be there today, and that was a game that made a big splash at Gamescom last year. This is a dark Pinocchio-themed Dark Souls-like. That sounds like it might be a Max game.
Yeah, no, I mean, Bloodborne with puppets, I'm in. Yeah, this looked very cool at Gamescom. I feel like it's one of those ones that kind of blew up, went viral when like early footage of it first showed up, and I'm very happy that it has stayed in the oven this long, and I'm hoping that the final product is extremely polished. One thing that really has me excited is I think we interviewed them at back at Gamescom, and obviously you think of Pinocchio, you think there's puppets and fairies and stuff, but there's also the nose, yeah. But there's also Monstro. They get stuck in a giant whale, and I think they were like, is there going to be a giant whale sea monster type thing? And they were like, we're not talking about that yet. So I'm hoping we get to see something horrifying like that in there.
I don't. If there isn't some kind of a nose growing mechanic, how is it Pinocchio?
I think there is. I mean,
I don't know if it's there's a lying system that they talked about, right? Which is where the story branches based on how you interact with characters or something.
Interesting. Okay, well, we'll get to our crazy long shot predictions in a bit because we can't do a countdown show without trying to manifest our dream game reveals using our collective summoning power. But first, let's take a quick break. Stick around though, more IGN Summer of Gaming after this.
IGN Summer of Gaming is presented by Lenovo Legion with 13th gen Intel Core processors. Beyond performance.
So you like IGN, huh? The news, the videos, the guides, and wikis, it's all in your wheelhouse. But do you ever wish there was more? Introducing IGN Plus, a brand new program that's loaded with tons of cool perks and benefits. Sign up for IGN Plus today and you'll unlock free games and in-game content every month, a free subscription to Map Genie Plus, huge discounts for stuff like Dream Gear, Power A, Humble Bundle, the IGN Store, and tons more. IGN Plus is just $29.99 a year for a limited time. You deserve a little extra.
Behind every game, movie, and TV show you love is a wild, crazy, and sometimes unbelievable story.
No one is just black and white.
From revealing the secrets behind your favorite franchises to solving a legendary video game mystery,
I'm coming for you.
IGN Inside Stories gives you a peek behind the curtain.
If people come to the game now and see what's going on there, I think they'll be surprised.
Join us as we dive into hyper-dedicated fan bases, worldwide phenomenons, and the most incredible untold tales in games and entertainment.
I said, wait a minute, that doesn't sound so good.
It was definitely not what I expected in the best way.
Inside Stories, available now only on IGN.
Now it's like, holy shit, we're gonna do this.
Have you been stuck on the same quest for just way too long?
I just want answers!
IGN strategy guides and interactive maps are here to help. IGN guides are trusted by millions, easy to use, and of course, free. You can even track your progress with handy checklists if you go for 100% just like we do.
We're gonna be going over some sensitive material.
IGN has the very best, most complete, and accurate guides for The Legend of Zelda
Oui,
Tears
sans
of the
oui,
Kingdom, Star
oui,
Wars
sans
Jedi Survivor,
oui,
The Witcher 3,
oui, sans
Pokemon
oui.
Scarlet and Violet, Elden Ring, and so much more.
I will require some time to process this information.
Every guide is tested and verified for you by experts. Just search for IGN.
IGN Summer of Gaming is presented by the
Vamos
United States Air
começar.
Force. The call to serve can come from anywhere,
Colocar aqui em
from
cima.
providing and sustaining security to humanitarian assistance in the event of disasters. And the U.S. Air Force is prepared to answer. And in 2023, the Air Force is hiring over 26,000 new airmen and has over 200 career opportunities. To learn more, visit airforce.com.
Welcome back to IGN Summer of Gaming. We are moments away from Summer Game Fest, but until then, let's share some predictions of what we'll see. Ryan, let's begin with you. What do you expect or hope to see today?
BioWare's been quiet for a while. I mean, they've done some little community blog updates, which are great in an effort to be more transparent with their community, but we haven't seen anything from them in a while. Now, my heart wants to manifest Mass Effect today, but we know Dragon Age is further along than Mass Effect is. So I think Dragon Age Dreadwolf is the more likely thing that we would see first between that and Mass Effect. And it does seem like it's time for us to see a proper gameplay trailer from Dragon Age Dreadwolf. Because the last time we saw it was on a Jeff Keighley stage, so he's got that relationship going. And it just feels like time. I mean, there's a lot riding on this for BioWare. They've been working on it for a long time. Oh, yeah. And we know they're gonna take their time and do their best to get it right. And it seems like, I don't know, it feels like it's in the air for me. I'm gonna try and wish that one into existence today.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. The last Dragon Age was a Game of the Year winner at IGN 2014, I believe. But that was before.
Sunset Overdrive should have won. Just gonna put that out there.
Okay,
Go ahead, continue.
You're holding a grudge.
But that was before Mass Effect Andromeda and Anthem and Shadow Realms. They're canceled.
Wow,
PvP
I forgot
shooter,
all
right?
about
I know.
Completely forgot about that.
So I'm just saying, that was like the last.
Yeah, it's
the last great game that BioWare
been a
shipped.
rough ride.
So what would it take, to get you excited for a new Dragon Age?
I think just going back to basics with Dragon Age is all they need to do at this
point.
point.
To the BioWare basics.
Back to the BioWare basics, like really going in, strong narrative, like leaning into the characters and just showing that it's like a rich story game and like. What we love about those games is the sort of relationships that you build with the characters and then going off on. Yeah, I think it's they've strayed a long way from what we associate with them, and the best possible thing I think is to go back to what we love them for.
It's hard to sell that in the trailer, and I feel like a lot of the goodwill towards BioWare has kind of evaporated over recent years.
Yeah. Come back to the light, BioWare. Max, what do you expect or hope to see today?
I really want to see Lords of the Fallen gameplay. That got shown off, I guess, back at Game Awards. This is the sequel, reboot, whatever, of also Lords of the Fallen, which came out 1 million years ago. They have not shown the key mechanics in this. That's another Unreal 5 game. The cool thing this is doing is it's having a persistent sort of alternate dimension that exists under the world you're in. And you carry a lantern that lets you sort of see what's going on there. And they kind of allude to this in one of the trailers, but as far as actually demonstrating how that mechanic works, it sounds extremely cool.
I got to see this at GDC, and it's as cool as you just described it. It's that cool. Like it also does absolutely look. It's jaw-droppingly gorgeous. Like don't put that on the box. That's just. But yeah, it really was. It's one of the. Being one of the first major Unreal Engine 5 games, it really was a stunning game to look at. And yeah, it seems like they've made a lot of smart mechanical tweaks to the kind of standard Souls-like formula, namely that sort of other world that you can step into, and there are puzzles you have to, environmental puzzles that you have to solve using it.
There's some fun little wrinkles on the sort of traditional Soulsborne setup. I think there's one where you have you can bring your campfires with you, or your bonfires, whatever, but enemies can destroy them. So they'll come over, kick sand on it or something, and which can screw up your progress. The other one, I think there's a mechanic that basically it will. I think if you're too cowardly, if you avoid too much combat, it gets more aggressive, which is right. I might be not
the opposite should happen.
Like a reverse scaling difficulty.
I mean,
punishes
I don't know.
you.
The FromSoft games, if you suck too much, they give you less health and send red skeletons after you. Like it's.
They put their first gameplay trailer out not too long ago, and we had an exclusive extended version of that trailer that shows a snippet of a boss fight at the end. So if you haven't seen it yet, you got to check it out on IGN. It's really cool.
I want to see that in action properly.
All right, John, what do you expect or hope to see today?
So I it's possibly a pedestrian prediction, but last year we got an early look at Modern Warfare 2. Activision said they weren't going to do a Call of Duty and then changed their mind. I think if we're going to see Call of Duty at any point over the next 2 weeks, it's going to be today. I don't think we're going to see it at a Microsoft thing, given all the nonsense that's going on around them. So I think... if not Modern Warfare 3, then I think definitely there'll be something Call of Duty related today. But I think it will be Modern Warfare 3, and I think they're, as they're moving the remakes forward, they're kind of like getting bolder with the changes that they're making. So it would be great to see, like a game like that and at that scale at this event, I think.
Maybe I'm not caught up with the
Cara,
list.
isso aí é
It was
Battlefield?
going to be a Call of Duty something.
Yeah,
Não, isso é COD.
It was going to be
Olha que legal.
kind of a standalone expansion was the report, and then the more recent report was that they have.
É o COD. Eu me lembro de ter zerado esse COD. Eu não me lembro qual é esse COD aí. Não sei se é o Modern Warfare ou se é o Black Ops. Eu acho que é o Black Ops 2. Black Day. Truth Day.
It's Sledgehammer doing both of them.
Eu acho que é o Black Ops. Summer Game of Game. E aí, galera, tá faltando 2 minutos e a gente tá aqui, né? E deixa eu só ver se tá estourado meu áudio aqui. Deve estar estourado.
Not quite the same situation, but they're kind of, you know, it's equally like strange circumstances in that this was a standalone expansion that's now being plussed up into a full, proper, numbered Call of Duty release.
Ó, tá faltando 2 minutos agora. Gente, estamos online agora no Facebook. Perdão. Estamos online agora no YouTube e na Twitch. Se vocês puderem compartilhar, comentar, dar like, se inscrever, tudo bem, tá bom? Se você puder seguir também nossa Twitch também, tá? Sempre a gente fazendo, sempre nós estamos fazendo conteúdo, tá? Terão alguns dias que eu não vou estar fazendo conteúdo, já que eu tô fazendo faculdade, curso e trabalho, então eu vou dar um pouco sem tempo, mas eu tô sempre atualizando, sempre fazendo live, sempre fazendo tudo, tá bom? Desde já, muito obrigado. Eu sei que passei um tempão, passei quanto? Passei 1 hora, 2 horas, 2 horas praticamente, né? Antes de começar realmente, né? A estar aqui. Mas eu tô sempre on, tá? O pai tá on, não adianta não, filho. Summer Game Fest. Qualquer coisa, vocês, se puderem dar um retorno pra mim, um feedback pra ver como é que tá o áudio, pô, melhor, pô, pra mim, melhor coisa, tá, gente?
Maybe it's coming to MacBook. I don't. The guy keeps busy. He's got lots of stuff going on.
He's got a documentary,
podcast,
yeah,
book,
whole thing.
Yeah. Very busy man. All right, we're going to hand it over in just a few
Faltando
moments.
52 segundos.
Make sure to stick around afterwards. We'll be breaking down all the
Summer Game
reveals.
Fest begin.
The other things that come to mind when I think of the previous Game Awards show, there was Hades 2 that was just announced. Maybe possibly we could see more of Hades 2. I know people want a release date for Hollow Knight Silksong, that one as well. That would be a good reveal for them to have. And then Ryan, what do you think is going to be the big musical performance today?
Well, I guess history says the Black Keys are Imagine Dragons.
Skrillex and Kid Cudi, they announced it ahead. It leaked.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Oh, it did?
There you
I mean,
go.
that's
There
awesome.
we go.
I'm actually excited for that. All right, well, with that, we're going to hand you over to Summer Game Fest. Everybody enjoy the show, and we'll see you on the other side.
Transição de cena.
Please welcome to the stage the creator of the Game Awards, Jeff Keighley.
Se vocês já puderem dar um like, compartilhar, se inscrever. É nóis, viu, família? Oi, som, oi, oi.
We are in person, and today we've got a look at what's next in video games for you. We are live here in Los Angeles at YouTube Theater, and it feels so good to be in person with a live fan audience for the first time ever. Welcome, everybody.
Welcome, everybody.
When I started Summer Game Fest back in 2020 from a spare bedroom, I never imagined it would grow into this. Today, the video game industry has come together to show you what's next. This is a cross-industry showcase, meaning no matter where you play games, I hope you'll discover a new game to put on your wish list. The landscape of video game events has certainly changed over the past few years, but one thing hasn't. There are a lot of great games in development, and our singular goal today is to get you excited about the future. In just a few minutes, we'll see the first extended gameplay of Mortal Kombat 1.
Mortal Kombat 1.
It delivers, don't worry. Alan Wake 2.
Alan Wake 2.
The reveal of Fortnite's next season. And yes,
Fortnite nova season.
We do have a very special grand finale.
Vocês precisam do grande
All I'll say right now.
Do grande finale.
But let's get right to the games and gameplay. The first reveal is something you're not expecting, which makes it that much more exciting. Here we go.
Olha lá ele, Ubisoft. Vai, Ubisoft, mostra. Ampulhetas do tempo, areias do tempo. Qual é o nome agora da nova trilogia? O personagem principal virou negão. Se bem que é no deserto, né? Não seria... Praticamente assim, historicamente falando sobre o jogo e o personagem, ele se apresenta num local onde dificilmente tem pessoas brancas, né? Então, realmente. Eita! Satânico, nossa. Eita! Hã? Lá ele. É tipo um 2D com 3D junto, né? É um 2D, mas na hora de arrumar vira um 3D.
Hope is the only thing that keeps us fighting. I will fulfill my destiny and save the kingdom.
Será que ele vai estar com a adaga? Prince of Persia, The Last Crown. Crown. Será que ele vai estar com a adaga? Acho que sim, né? Não tem como não ter a adaga, né? Prince of Persia. Faz tempo que eu não vejo um Prince of Persia, hein? E cara, eu não sei que tara é essa, eles sempre tá colocando algo colorido nos jogos, mano. Não sei que tara é essa dos caras, velho. Deixar tudo 100% colorido.
You'll be able to see more at Ubisoft Forward, streaming on Monday as part of Summer Game Fest. All right, let's move along to another iconic video game franchise that just celebrated 30 years. That's right.
30 years. 3 anos.
For Mortal Kombat 1.
Mortal Kombat 1, galera. Puta que pariu. Agora o pai tá on, viu?
It has been 4 years since MK11, and ever since, Ed Boon and the team at NetherRealm have been hard at work on the most ambitious MK yet that reboots the series into a new era timeline. And it's coming this September. Everyone has been asking, what does it look like? Who's on the roster? How do the new cameo fighters work? Well, now it is time for combat. No spoilers, but this video is literally insane. Here is an extended first look at the story, gameplay, and yes, of course,
gameplay, a gente tá ouvindo gameplay agora.
Of Mortal Kombat 1. Let's do it.
É foleiro o cara desse, né? Com o Glaucio no chapéu? Rapaz. E o sub é o sub, né? Não tem problema de pai. Ixi, o Sub-Zero vai estar pelão pra cacete. Olha o combo. Eita. Sub-Zero.
What do you want? Sento. It's my family blade. Sento's mine, and I won't give it up without a fight.
Nossa, mano, me esqueci o nome desse personagem. Mas ele tá assim agora? Olha, e tem ajuda? Não sabia que tinha ajuda não agora. Ih, virou Naruto agora, mano. Pô, mano, cagou, hein. Esse é o Johnny Cage?
Okay, let's go back to one here.
Okay, let's go.
Who are you again?
Lord Liu Kang, protector of Earthrealm, God of Fire.
Deus do fogo. Ó! Ah, mano, não curti isso aí não, velho. Mas o jogo tá filé. Mas esse aí eu não curti. Mas como nem tudo é flores, né? Ô, louco, mano. O fogo dele é azul, tá ligado?
You have skills, Raiden, but you're inexperienced.
Whatever experience I lack, I make up for in heart.
O Raiden, cara, ele tá novaço, irmão. É o Raiden, esse, hein? E que ele era Baraka? Não, era Canon. Cara, pra quem vai jogar campeonato com essa opção de... Essa opção de pedir ajuda, mano, deve ser muito ruim, velho. Como sempre, ela não dá, velho. Como sempre... Ela ganhando espaço, né, mano? Foda do jeito que ela é. Velho, isso vai ser muito roubado. Ai, ele voltou, mano. Ele voltou, mano. Caramba, velho. Ele dá o Groove Rio agora em cima? Mortal Kombat 1. Cara. It's in all blood. September. Shao Kahn. Que insano, bicho.
I mean, that was pretty good, right, guys? Now, I'm sure you have many
Que
questions about
insano,
what we
bicho.
just
Que
saw, and to tell you
insano,
more,
bicho.
I am so honored to welcome to Summer Game Fest one of our industry's greatest creators, a man who has been loyal to the same franchise and fan base for more than 3 decades. Please
Gente,
join
que
me in welcoming
insano, gente, que
to Summer
insano.
Game Fest the creator of Mortal Kombat, Ed Boon!
Ed Boon. Aí é feio, viu, negão?
Congratulations. They love you. All right. Well, Ed, first of all, thank you for that incredible world premiere. We got to see all the gameplay of MK1. And
Muito obrigado, estava incrível a gameplay.
First of all, this is it's MK1, right? It went from 11 to 1. So tell us about this. It's in a new timeline?
Yeah.
Por que do
People
primeiro?
have seen
Mortal
the
Kombat
ending
1.
of Mortal Kombat 11. Liu Kang basically was kind of graduated into a fire god, right? And he created a brand new universe. And this universe, this is why we're calling it Mortal Kombat 1, is because this is the beginning of a new timeline. A
Cara, ele
number
fala
of these
muito rápido.
characters you've seen
Mas depois eu vou dar uma
before, but they're
resumida.
told in a completely different story. And so Sub-Zero and Scorpion are brothers now, and there's all these things that were rivalries before are now allies, and so mixing the whole thing up. So we're just kind of rebooting, and that's what the 1 is for.
Well, it looks incredible. Everything we saw there was, in-game gameplay. The cinematics look incredible. I know the team has been working for 4 years on this, but the thing we got to talk about are these cameos, because we saw some pretty amazing stuff there. Now, so tell us, how does that work? You have your main, character that you'll pick, and then I know you also have a separate kind of cameo menu, so you pick sort of a pair when you start the game?
Yeah, normally in a fighting game, you'll see a roster, basically, where you select your character. After you do that, there's a second roster of characters, which are a whole new, completely different fighters that are cameo fighters. And these fighters actually, they will join the fight, but they...
A lot of blank squares there.
Yeah, so it's kind of like, imagine yourself with Sub-Zero, but you have some of Jack's moves, and you can call him out. You can do it multiple times, as you saw in the gameplay, So you can basically combine these two characters. All the characters can be combined with all the cameo fighters, and that's where you see that's where the player's kind of imagination comes in, and they can actually customize it for what they like seeing, the best team-ups.
Well, so how does that work? So you're in gameplay, you have your main, you have your...
Cara, já começa. Tipo assim, eles se encontram e depois já começa a partida.
Yeah, exactly. And you're basically summoning them. It's just one button push is basically summoning, but they have a variety, so you can go, push that button with towards and it'll do a different move. Push it with down, it'll do a different move. And so the combination...
Oh, I see. So you can bring them in a combo almost.
Exactly, exactly. And you see there's like a meter up on top, which is basic. That'll limit it, so you can't obviously fire them.
Cara, eles estão revolucionando. Revolucionando os loadings, tá ligado? Quase não tem tela de carregamento. Eles se encontram, depois eles meio que se distanciam, já estão na fase já. Eles vão só falar uma palavrinha e falar assim, ei maluco, vou te pegar e pá e tal, os caralho. E já começa a partida. E os personagens estão muito diferentes. Primeiramente, é uma coisa a se notar é que os personagens estão muito diferentes.
As the main roster fighters. So you can play Sub-Zero with Sub-Zero, right? you can same thing with Scorpion, but a lot of our cameo fighters are kind of like nods back to our first game. So you'll notice Sonya and Kano and Jax are in their kind of older costumes. And so there's a lot of that novelty. We have a lot of like really surprised ones. I think you guys saw Goro.
Yes, Goro popped in there.
Yeah. Exactly. So there's a lot of like kind of really digging into the old Mortal Kombat games as far as getting, we really love the novelty of it. We really want the cameo characters to feel,
Que nada. Cara, bicho, tu viu, pô? Tu viu, pô?
Speaking of not the old games, let's talk. You confirmed, I think, or it's
sem tradução nem quero. Então vai lá pro concorrente, cara. Aqui não tem tradução mesmo, não. Eu escuto uma, duas, três palavras assim no máximo. Cara, que insano, bicho. Ô, Dante, uma parada que eu achei bem, tipo assim, bem podre, foi a parte de eles ter ajuda na hora da luta. Tipo assim, vai virar que nem Naruto, pô. Tu tá lutando aqui, aí tá perto da defesa, aí vem outro personagem combar com teus ataques. Eu não achei legal. Eu acho que foi desnecessário isso aí. Tipo Kingdom. Isso! Que nem os jogos de luta os antigos. Eu não achei legal.
Secret to keep over the last 4 years. And so, but we could not be more excited in terms of getting players' hands on it. And throughout the summer, we're going to be showing a lot more content, a lot more characters, a lot more cameo characters. So there's a lot of reveals that are coming up.
Amazing. Well, Ed, thank you so much for giving us the
first look at MK1. O gráfico tá bom, a jogatina tá boa. Tu viu que quase não tem tela de carregamento agora. Tá foda. Só que assim, a minha é tipo assim, nenhum jogo é 100%, né? Tipo, o Resident teve aquela parada de... O Resident teve aquela parada de tancar uma motosserra com a faca. Também daquele tempo foi só. O resto todo o jogo, eu amei o jogo, né? E no Mortal Kombat foi só essa parada de chamar um outro amigo pra poder lutar. Isso aí eu não curti muito. Mas no resto eu achei foda, tá? Mortal Kombat 1 vai vir comendo couro.
But that changes right now. Here is your first look
at
a raw gameplay capture from Path of Exile 2, a sequel that pushes the engine and gameplay to a new level.
Where are the gods? Ah, esse é Diablo, né? Não, isso aí todo mundo já sabe. A DLC do Diablo. DLC do Diablo 4. Cara, tá difícil, hein? Nossa, meu cara joga muito, hein? Ô, Dante, mas deixa a tela aberta aí, pô. Só coloca no mudo. E coloca outra... Eita bagaça, um golem aqui. A DLC do Diablo 2, né? Quer dizer, do 4. Não, Path of Exile, não sei o que, 2, 1 era pra PC? Eu me lembro de ter pra Play 2, hein? Play 2 ou era Play 3, não me lembro agora.
Looks amazing, and there's more coming in
Tinha, né?
July.
Não me lembro,
Last
não.
week marked the release of Street Fighter 6, a game we
Eu jurei que era DLC. Falaram que vai ter
featured
DLC do Diablo, né?
team at
Aí eu
Capcom
fiquei
has
pensando
an
que seria
important
DLC.
update to share with you right now.
Right now. Capcom. Nova skin. Que jogo, mano. Que jogo. Só não jogo mais porque eu não comprei o jogo. Leviathan. Isso aí naquele jogo da Capcom é o... Não, é Street Fighter 6. Isso, Exoprimal. Esse que eu já ia falar. Só que o Exoprimal com as skins do Street Fighter, né? Exoprimal eu não consegui jogar, né? Você lembra, Dante? Que teve aquele rolo lá?
I'm guessing Ryu from Street Fighter facing off against a dinosaur probably wasn't on your bingo card for today's show. That Street Fighter Cross Exoprimal collab will launch in the
Cara,
fall,
se Exoprimal não fosse tão caro, eu comprava. Se não fosse tão caro. Collaboration.
Check this out.
There's nothing more powerful than imagination. It can shape the fabric of reality, transforming everything you may think you know.
Olha! Qual jogo ele tá agora? Dead by Daylight, Nicolas Cage. Caraca, bicho! Pô, eu não jogo Dead by Daylight, né, mano? Mas deve ser legal pra quem joga, mano. Nicolas Cage aí, zão.
I figured the easiest way to find out is probably to go right to the source. This man's bold creative choices have earned him an Academy Award and a few memes on the internet across more than 4 decades of incredible films. Please join me in welcoming to Summer Game Fest, Nicolas Cage!
Nicolas Cage! Lá ele, olha o cara.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Happy to meet you.
Nick, I gotta say, welcome to the video game world.
Oh, wow, yeah, thank you. I'm so happy to be invited to your very, very cool club, everybody.
Finally, I mean, I gotta say, this is such a crazy, unexpected collaboration. I gotta understand, how did this come about? I mean, some people be like, oh, maybe he'll show up in Fortnite, maybe he'll be in a Hideo Kojima game, but Dead by Daylight, I mean, how does this happen?
Dead by Daylight.
Well, it's a museum of horror, right?
Yes.
And when I make movies, one of my favorite genres is horror. And in this, and in that genre,
Bom, pessoal, pra quem tá assistindo no YouTube aí, se você puder dar um like, comentar, compartilhar, se inscrever, está sempre on, tá? Qualquer coisa, sempre tá saindo vídeo todo dia, se não sair vídeo a gente tá fazendo live, e a gente nunca tá deixando o YouTube parado, tá bom? Desde já, muito obrigado. Pra quem tá assistindo esse vídeo também, provavelmente, você que tá assistindo esse vídeo aí no futuro, não tão distante, já pensei.
So I play this heightened, exaggerated version of a film actor named Nick Cage. And he's going to a location thinking he's making a movie, and instead he wakes up in the fog. And in the fog, he's surrounded by crows and serial killers, and it's rather amusing. And there's something about it that I think, as a survivor, is like a bonding experience. It's a bit like hide and go seek. You have your 3 other teammates who are survivors with you, and it's teamwork. You're working together to pull through, and I like that. And so that was a large reason for wanting to do it as well, that feeling of bonding with your friends.
And you're fully in for this. I know we heard your voice in there, so you recorded lines for it and everything?
See, I want you to know when you're playing the Nick Cage survivor, I even have, when you're choosing your skins, I even say, always remember to dress to match your talent. I want you to know that you're with me, that we're one, that we're fused. And so it was important to me that everything I do, everything I say, from the scream to the grunt, down to the most minimal, exasperated expression of a sigh, whatever it is, it's my voice, so that we are fused.
All right. Fully method, Nick Cage. I love it. I mean, this is so fun. This game, as you said, is such an awesome kind of, collaboration with so many different characters. For you, I mean, how did you find out about Dead by Daylight? Do you know much about the video game
Somebody
world?
very important in my family is a Dead by Daylight enthusiast, and that really put the hook in. Ha, pun intended.
Cara, ele tá cheio das piadinhas, né, mano?
See, Dead by Daylight to me was an opportunity to branch out. I've never been invited into this space before.
Yeah.
I'm always looking for new adventures. So this to me was like, wow, I can make a whole new audience, meet a whole new audience, and branch out and go on this Dead by Daylight adventure. I didn't say, it took me nothing but a split second to say yes. And speaking about split seconds, what I noticed, excuse me, sinuses, allergies. What I noticed was that every move you make when you're doing this, when you're in the gaming space, it's timed down to the split second. It's a very immersive experience when you're acting out in this space, because every move, every grunt, every sigh you make has to be timed perfectly with the gamer's moves. So that was something that I learned from this, and I'm always looking to learn something.
Ele tá meio que tentando explicar a diferença dos jogos pros filmes, né? Moves.
Nick, thank you so much. Hopefully the first Betty. Nicolas Cage, great to see you, man. Awesome. There you go. Lock it in.
Cara, ele tá foda pros games. Foda-se. Ele tá tipo assim. Legal. Falou, gente.
But PC players can try it earlier by downloading the player test build on July 5th. And here's an exclusive first look at Nicolas Cage in Dead by Daylight.
Cara, mas Dead by Daylight é feio, né, mano? Pelo amor de Deus. Gameplay footage, not final. Nicolas Cage. Por mim, não... Acho que Dead by Daylight fez mau negócio.
Anything goes here at Summer Game Fest. All right,
quem é que se lembra de Nicolas Cage ainda?
Lately we've been seeing an incredible number of video game adaptations. But back in 2019, The Witcher on Netflix, inspired by the Witcher book series, showed the potential of well-done adaptations. And later this month, Season 3, Volume 1 arrives, and now it's time for the world premiere of the trailer, introduced by Henry Cavill and the cast.
Hello, Witcher fans. We are all
Cavill, Gerard,
to share something with you.
Be sure to tune into The Witcher Season 3. Volume 1 Volume 1 debuts on June 29th, only on Netflix.
Get ready to watch the world premiere of our brand new trailer for Season 3 of The Witcher.
Thanks for tuning in to the Summer Games Fest and enjoy the trailer.
Ok. É a Netflix, né? Eu acho que, se não me engano, é a última temporada que o Henry Cavill vai fazer, né? Antes dele sair. Ou não, vai que a Netflix também dá um dinheirão pra ele aí, continua, não sei. Mas cinema tem dessas coisas, né?
I won't abandon Siri.
Neutrality has consequences too.
Ai!
You're right.
Embrace. Well, that's deeply worrying.
Everything that's happening. It's all connected.
Ele saiu porque não concordou com algo do roteiro, parece. Pois é, eu tava vendo sobre isso aí. E aí, é foda. Porque a Netflix, ela sempre quer controlar muito, né, as coisas, mano. E aí... Não sei, velho, não sei, velho. Não foi questão de grana. É, se bem que pro Gerard fazer... O Henry Cavill tentar fazer alguma série na Netflix, deve ser uma grana mesmo. Se eu não me engano, no roteiro original e no jogo, essa menina, essa Freya aí, ela não vira do mal? Eu não me lembro agora.
History has a way of repeating itself.
Que ela aprende até umas feitiçarias braba lá. Parece que é. Parece que é aquela vira do mal, assim. Eu não tenho certeza. Essa freia de cabelo branco aí. Isso aí, ó. Pô, mas Geralt é brincadeira, né? Eita! Agora que vai aparecer os monstros mesmo, tipo os brabo mesmo do jogo.
And they're like, no, please don't hurt me. And then wow. Fangs. Just like a
Vai ser boa. Não, essa é a última temporada que ele vai fazer, né? Vai ser porra, vai ser do caralho, pô. Vai ser do caralho, do caralho. Agora depois dela a gente não sabe o que vai acontecer, né? Ixi, Epic Game Stores. Vai ser a nova season no Fortnite, quer ver? E Plague Tale. É não. Apareceu. É não. Isso aí é o... The Witcher, não. É aquele jogo lá que eu tinha falado pra tu que parece... Dark Watch. Eu acho que eu falei... Acho que teve um dia que a gente assistiu uma conferência que... Não sei se foi a última E3 que a gente viu um trailer desse, que eu falei pra ti, parece Dark Watch. É, tá aí, ó. Witcher Fire. Legal, Witcher Fire. Deixa eu até anotar aqui, que depois eu vou fazer um corte. Talk about Witcher Fire.
01. Operation Control clears you for engagement.
Jogo de coisa, né? De óculos virtual. VR. Isso é o Warface, né? Parece a engine do Warface. E as fases também. Crossfire Sierra Squad. Meu Deus do céu, passei longe, velho. Cacete. Cacetada de pitibiriba. Black Desert. White, The Callisto Protocol. Nunca zerei. Vou ver se eu zero depois. Garrett, R$50. Samsung. VR com a arma na mão deve ser demais. Cara, deve ser. Ei, eu vi esse. Ó, acabou agora, tá? Ó, vi esse trailer. Você lembra do Amnant 1? Que o David tava jogando, a gente falou assim, pô, deve ser de paus, caralho. Era de primeira pessoa. Esse é o 2, bicho. Tem tudo, pô, tem espada, tem faca, tem magia, tem satanismo, tem golem, tem alienígena. Tu tem que cultivar a tua plantação, tu tem que criar, tem survival. É muito doido, pô, E tá em terceira pessoa também, tu ama, né, pô? Esse jogo terceira pessoa, tá aí, pô. Pra jogar multiplayer aí até bater pau, né, irmão? Só não sei se esse é o mesmo Amnant que tá diferente, esse trailer aí. Armament, eu não sei nem como é que fala o nome do jogo. Deixa eu ver aqui. Armament, sei lá. Mas tá aparecendo não, tá aparecendo outro jogo, isso aí. Não, tá aí, ó, Remnant no caso, né? Remnant 1 você disse lá que não era legal e tal, você lembra? Que tava em primeira pessoa, até o David tava jogando. Tá aí o 2. E esse tá muito melhor, muito melhor. Eu tava lendo sobre o jogo e parece que o jogo vai ter sobrevivência, vai ter as paradas pra tu colher. E vai ser muito doido, pô. Pô, a gente tem que comprar o 2, pô. Você tem que comprar o 2 pra jogar. Server Game Fest. TikTok.
And we want to welcome everyone co-streaming the show live on TikTok, Twitch, YouTube, and other platforms. For those of you on Twitch, we also have a special Warframe Twitch drop, a free Steinax Warframe for watching more than 30 minutes of the show. Now, speaking of surprises, another legendary gaming hero is set to return later this year in a brand new game built from the ground up in a style that I think is going to get this fan base and longtime fans of video games very excited. Here's another Summer Game Fest global game announcement. New thrills with a classic feel.
Oh! Caramba, bicho. Sonic the Back. Caramba, bicho, que legal. With that all new look. Bicho, ficou massa, pô. Ficou massa pra cacete mesmo. Chefes novos. Uma coisa assim. Não, boss é chefe. Cara. Tu viu ontem que saiu o Bomberman? Bomberman não, pô. O jogo que tu gosta lá, pô, me esqueci o nome do jogo agora. Não, Sonic não, Bomberman não. Esqueci, quando eu me lembrar que eu vou te falar.
This past April, Honkai Star Rail launched, and as you're about to see, the game is bringing an exciting new character to space fantasy RPGs. However, we don't just have a new peak for current players, but also for those awaiting the game's release on PlayStation. Take a look.
Mega Man, isso. Você viu que saiu o Mega Man ontem? Quando eu falei, nossa, ele vai... Nossa. Ah, mano, Gage Impact de novo, mano. Não aguento mais. Ah, não, mano. Pelo amor de Deus. Ó, mais uma menina gostosa com calcinha pro lado de fora. Honkai. Vi não, vou já olhar, Honkai. Pois é, tu vê lá, do Mega Man lá, tem um trailer. Meu amigo, quando lançou o trailer eu falei, negão, o Willy vai tá, ó. Ui! Ah, mano, não curto não, mano. Cara, eu não curto jogo assim porque o cara ele vai ter que farmar até a mãe dele, irmão. Nossa, eu dá uma preguiça do cacete jogar Gage Impact. PlayStation 5. Use banner. Come on. Honkai. Ah, Honkai. Por isso que tu falou Honkai, né? Muitas horas jogando isso aí. Pois é. Mano, assim, pra quem tem a vida, tipo assim, faculdade, trabalhos, caralho. Sei, mano, é difícil ó, pra se jogar, mano. Na moral mesmo. Ah, o Lies of P. Que jogão, hein, mano. povo tá jogando muito isso aí, Hokkai. Sério, mano? Eu vou ver esse jogo depois só pra, sabe? Só pra fazer desfeita, mas não tô afim não. Cara, que louco, bicho. Lies of P? Bicho, vai ser jogão, né? Ó. A música também é muito legal, né? Dark Souls de robô. Que jogo. Dark Souls de robô. Cara, que jogo louco, bicho. Uma sombrinha. Liars of P. Cara, que jogo, mano. Que jogo, velho.
Nice landing, but let's not make it a habit.
Pre-order, Digital Deluxe Edition. Vem com a roupa do verdadeiro.
That's right, a demo for Lies of P is now available across PlayStation, Xbox, and PC. Check it out and prepare for the release on September 19th. Now it's time for the reveal of a visually stunning new game based on a classic manga with a story and world created by one of the most celebrated anime artists of all time. This is one of those games that I feel lucky we get to reveal for the first time here at Summer Game Fest. And I think you'll be pretty hyped.
Já tem a demo, demonstração?
Unreal Engine 5. Here we go.
Setembro já tem a demo. Eu vou ver se a demo, se dá pra jogar a demo então, hein? Nossa. É Borderlands. The Borderlands. Ah, não. É aquele jogo lá que tu gosta, me esqueci o nome agora. Aquela Akira. Esqueci o nome agora. Join the Adventure. A Mystery. Mistério do deserto. Jogue a aventura dos desertos. Humanos e demônios vivem... Alguma coisa ainda pra ver. Parece legal, parece legal. Pô. Sandland. Humanos e máquinas. Stay Thunder. Que jogão. Bandai. Parece bom, é isso que eu tô falando. Parece filé, né, bicho, do jogo, tu viu?
Sandland. Get ready to become an unlikely hero in an adventure where you don't need to be human to save humanity. That's coming from Bandai Namco, and we're excited to see more of it soon. Independent games are such an important part of the industry, and one thing that's very important to us at Summer Game Fest is supporting those creators as well. After the live show, stay tuned for Day of the Devs from I'm8bit and Double Fine with some incredible indie game reveals. Now, one of the biggest independent publishers is Annapurna Interactive. And later this month, as part of Summer Game Fest, we'll be revealing a number of ambitious new projects. Let's see how many you can figure out in this little tease.
Teaser da Annapurna, jogo da Annapurna. Ah, Stray! Vai ter DLC? Nossa, hã? Ah, tá. Ele tá, tipo, dando resumo dos jogos. A Annapurna era uma empresa que ninguém sabia o que era, né? Não fazia porra nenhuma, depois começou a fazer tudo, aí depois fez um jogo e 2, aí depois foi pra 3, 4, pensou que não fez 10. E eles têm muita dessa parada criativa, né? É muito... Como você pode falar assim, não é tão real os jogos. Não é um possível jogo realista. Muitos poucos jogos que eles fazem em jogos Annapurna. Muitos poucos jogos eles fazem realista, assim, entendeu? Sempre é algo mais puxado pro artístico. Acho bacana.
Find out later this month. All right, next we're stepping into the world of Throne and Liberty, a free-to-play PC and console MMORPG from NCSoft and Amazon Games, with an always-changing environment, massive scale, PvPvE, and the ability to transform into creatures to battle across land, sea, and air. Here's a look at Throne and Liberty.
Our guiding star has shattered.
Amazon.
Its shards scattered across the world. An ancient evil searches for these lost fragments, destroying anything in their path.
Nossa, mano.
We must find them. Harness their power. And put down this threat once and for all.
Ó. Ah, será que o jogo vai ser assim? Ups, suas armas. Eita, palavra difícil. As duas. Oh. Claim the throne. Reclame o trono, alguma coisa assim, se não me engano. Throne and the Liberty. Parece fila. Uai, caiu? Oi, som. Oi. Oi. E lá ele, hein? Lá ele.
Free-to-play medieval fantasy sword fighting game Warhaven from Nexon, which lets you transform into
Olha o cara rindo ali atrás, ó.
portals.
Ei. Ai, Deus do céu. Nexon. Ai, música. Copyright. Ah, lá, 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 lá. Ah, lá, lá, lá. Ah, lá. Que pariu. Só agora de meter uma música, viu? Que eu vou te contar. Oh, parece filé, hein? É tipo um medieval com magia. Ó, oh, lá ele. Pegou um passarinho. Nossa, é tipo um medieval com magia. Eu gostei. Ó. Oh. Cara, isso tem cara. Se é não. Warhaven. Pô, Warhaven de janeiro. A junho. Em julho. Ah, mano, aquele... Né? É filé, né? O jogo. Ah, isso aí é coisa... Esqueci o nome agora. Isso é legal. Não é que não tem gente pra jogar, né? For Animals. Festa dos animais. Avaliação no Xbox. É legal, não é que não tem gente pra jogar, né, mano?
Pilgrims, summer is coming.
Ó,
With it,
Dying
a lot
Light,
of cool
diretor.
stuff will make its way to Dying Light Thursday Human. Get ready for darker, more dangerous nights and roaming
Dia a dia da
volatiles
humanidade na
complete with
escuridão das
improved
noites.
parkour, rolling out with the
Junto com
next
parkour.
update in June. Then, right after that, we'll kick off an event season.
Cara, quando o cara
like you've never seen
russo,
before.
alemão, tenta
Trust
falar
me,
inglês é
one of
estranho
them
demais,
will
bicho. Vai
want
tomar
to
no cu.
get your butt barbed wired. Very soon, you will get the deadliest summers to date.
Você não vai morrer hoje, alguma coisa que ele falou. É uma... Isso é deles, tá? Engraçado é que isso é deles. Se fosse minha live, eu falava, porra, minha live é uma merda mesmo. Uai. Crash. Ó, multiplayer, hein? Crash Team Hubbles. Caraca, bicho, Crash multiplayer. Playover, Game Pass. Assassin's Creed, Dying Light. Lost Ark, Destiny, Lara, Apple, Fatal Fury. The Witcher, Wi-Fi, Hi-Fi Rush, Halo Infinite. Samsung Game Hub, Samsung. Ó, tá melhor que ontem, hein? Ontem tava uma tristeza, velho, assistir. Na moral mesmo. Ontem, tipo, passei 2 horas pra ver 4 jogos e só. O resto tudo uma merda. Sim, provavelmente teve mais jogos bons, só que pro meu gosto eu não curti. Coisa minha. Assim, tipo, coisa minha, tá ligado?
Joining me is a guy who was last on stage at the Game Awards 2021 to announce Alan Wake 2. He's come
Alan
all
Wake
the way
2.
from Finland. Please
Bora pro
welcome
trailer,
to
irmão.
Gravity, Sam Lake.
Sam Lake!
Good to see you. Looking dapper as always.
Alan.
Thank you. Well, we are so excited
Wake
because when you announced Alan Wake at the Game, or Alan Wake 2 at the Game Awards, you said 2023. We are in 2023.
Vou anotar aqui.
It's coming this
Hoje teve
October,
coisa
and we
boa,
are so
já
excited
teve muita
about
coisa
this.
boa
I know
já.
it's been
Pois
a
é,
long
mano.
time
Ontem.
coming for fans and
Ontem,
for
se
you.
duvidar, eu já anotei 3
15
aqui,
years
não,
since
nem
the
começou
first
ainda.
Alan Wake.
Ainda
So
tem
tell
muito
us a bit about what can we
pra
expect in the
ter.
sequel.
It's been quite a
Tipo,
journey,
3
yes.
jogos assim, deve ter mais, mas eu só anotei 3 porque esses 3 aqui são os que eu realmente estou esperando.
First survival horror game. We have 2 playable characters. It's a 50-50
Ah, ele é o diretor do Alan Wake 2?
split between them.
Ah, é,
They
diretor.
are on their own separate terrifying journeys through 2
Você já percebeu que toda vez quando um jogo ele tem uma letra normal, normal assim, tipo normal, assim, com uma fonte normal, sempre o jogo é bom? The Last of Us, God of War, Alan Wake 2.
The PlayStation event you revealed Saga.
Deixa eu ver outro jogo aqui que tem uma letra normal, nem me lembro mais.
She's in Bright Falls and she's sort of living a narrative that Alan has written, is that right?
Well, that's a good question to ask going into this. So yes, we have Alan Wake, our title character, of course, trying to escape from the nightmare dimension of the dark place. And then we have Saga, our new hero, FBI agent.
É uma saga de um novo herói da FBI.
Town of Bright Falls, together with her partner, Alex Casey.
Juntos com o Alex Casey.
So how, and they're somehow linked in some way, right?
They are coming to investigate a series
É um dia de investigação.
murders. And very quickly the investigation turns into a nightmare when they discover
É uma investigação muito difícil na noite. De horror história, tipo, de história de horror.
Missing rider.
By initials AEW.
And this horror story starts to come true around.
E essa história de horror sai do controle.
Alan is still going to be playable in the game. You're going to experience his journey, but Saga, this is sort of new character, and there is that sort of link. Tell us a bit about, you said split 50-50. Do they have separate missions? How, because I think you can play them in sort of different sequences or orders if you want, right?
Yeah, we go into the experience playing as Saga. And it's
esse é um bom jogo para a experiência da saga.
Standalone experience. We are not expecting everybody to do homework if they have not played the original game. This can be enjoyed as is. Saga doesn't know anything about the lore, about the supernatural in this world. She will be going in very quickly she has to learn to survive, and with that, all the players will be on that journey with her. And then we open up the experience so that you can hop to play Alan Wake in the dark place as he's trying to find his way out, and you can keep on playing as Saga in the Pacific Northwest as the investigation goes on. And you are free to switch between them. There are a lot of connection points.
Ele falou, resumidamente, tudo que ele falou agora foi que os jogos são interligados aqui e ali. Mas precisamente tu não precisa jogar um para entender o 2, porque é uma história de horror que não tá interligada ainda. Quer dizer, tipo, uma história de... eles vão investigar uma história de horror lá que não é 100% interligado com...
Remedy's always been known for that, and you especially, so we can't wait to see how these stories intertwine, I'm sure, throughout the experience. Today, though, I know you brought with you some gameplay of Saga's adventure. We're just going to see a raw segment of the game, right?
Yeah, raw gameplay for the first time ever. This is early on from the experience.
Cara, tá muito ruim lá, hein, mano? Deve estar, tipo, horroroso pra ir lá, mano. Caramba, velho. Ai, meu Deus do céu. Caralho, caiu, mano. Caiu. Remnant 2. Cara, caiu. Baltar não caiu. Eu tô vendo direto da IGN.
Smartphones pro dia do...
Tô vendo direto da IGN. Boa, tá aqui. É isso aqui, né? Confirma pra mim, por favor. Se é isso mesmo. É essa live aqui mesmo, né? Ah, obrigado. Bicho, o jogo tá massa, pô. O jogo, porra, pegou um, melhorou o gráfico, botou outra história, foi isso. Cara, tá com a de The Last of Us Part 1 louco, né, mano? Não, ela mata e fica, tipo assim, andando, tipo assim, normal. Vejo isso todo dia. Ó, tem dois cantos, um na esquerda e um na direita do coração, né? Ah, não, tá ali. Será que eles vão puxar pro terror? Engadação? Alan Wake 2. Esse aí deve ser só o início da gameplay.
Killer left a message.
It's for us.
We were all trapped in a horror story.
Ah lá, ele escrevendo uma história de horror.
There's something I'm forgetting.
Pô, ele já tá velhão, né, mano?
Something important. Something's not right.
Caralho, doido. Tá muito louco, né?
Alan Wake 2 looks incredible. Thank you to Sam and Remedy for that first look at gameplay. Now let's get a first look at the co-op campaign of Warhammer Space Marine 2 from Saber and Focus.
Cara, muito louco, né, mano?
We're facing a Tyranid splinter fleet. They engaged us on 2 planets.
Uai, isso é o quê? Ah, Warhammer. Só pela caveirazinha ali. Warhammer. Cara, eu tô muito afim de jogar o Warhammer, tipo assim, pegar pra jogar. É um negócio que a maioria dos jogos são muito ruins. Mas esse daí eu tô hypadaço, bicho. Ele mata tipo uns aliens, né, mano? Porra, da hora demais, pô. E até tu entender que esses caras de azul, tu pensa que é bonzinho, não tem bonzinho não, mano. No universo do Warhammer todo mundo é pau quebradeira e te lasca, irmão. Não quer saber disso aí não. É muito legal, eu acho o Warhammer legal por causa disso, porque não tem herói nem vilão. Todo mundo é herói e é vilão, se der pra matar, mata, morrer, já foi, filho. Co-op, campanha. Faz tempo que a gente não tem uma campanha em co-op, hein, filho? Você tá louco. Ó. Irmão. É tipo um... É tipo um World War Z, né, mano? Só que na alienígena. Esse tá flash, a gente precisa comprar pra esse aí, pra gente jogar. Esse aí precisa. Esse aí, nossa. Ó, outro jogo que é 2D, só que é uma mistura de 2 com 3D. Cabeça de um rei. Tá certo isso? O jogo tá filé mesmo. Nossa, Bravo na noite apresenta agora. Brave in the night. Help, please. Thank you. You grace. Minhas batatas. Porra. Impressionante. Nem parece que é pixelado, né? Quando você fica muito de longe assim vendo. 2024.
Beautiful indie game, yes, Your Grace, Snowfall. Now it is time for another global game announcement, and this one comes from the minds of Saber Interactive, Focus Entertainment, and yes, horror master John Carpenter. It's a brand new world, a brand new story, and looks like a heck of a lot of fun.
Novo jogo, nova história. Fox Entertainment. Se não me engano, esse é o que fez o coisa, tá? Saber Será? É aquele jogo, Dante, que falaram que não ia sair? Que era fake? Eu acho que é esse, né? Tenho certeza. Lá é ele. O osso que tá no heavy metalzão. Uma japinha com escopeta já tá filé, hein? One. John, quem? Nem vi. Nossa, esse aí promete, hein? Esse promete, filho. Ó. É tipo um Black 4 Blood, né, mano? Será Black 4 Blood? Tá aparecendo. Nossa, se for, mano, não acredito, mano. Tá muito filé, velho. E o gráfico é igual, né, mano? Ó, as armas, o zumbi, é tudo igual, ó. Tox Commando. Comando. É que o comando tá em inglês? Ou em português? John Carpenter. Oh, que jogão, bicho. Tax Commando.
Alright. Well, this August brings the
Tax Commando, deixa eu anotar aqui.
full 1.0 release of Baldur's Gate 3. And today, a new member is joining the cast. We're about to see the reveal of Lord Enver Gortash, the commander of a mechanical army of Steel Watchers. He's a second antagonist and is voiced by a familiar name.
Baldur's Gate. Esse também parece que eu já ouvi esse jogo em algum canto. Mas é antigo, esse daí, eu acho. Não sei, não tenho certeza.
Swearest thou by Balduran's blade to defend the citizens of Baldur's Gate from enemies within and without?
You are soon to witness the people of Baldur's Gate granting me complete power over them. A new age is upon us. Gods have mercy on those who would stand in our way. A mad dog understands the yank of the leash on the hand of its master, but it cannot be an equal. You can be my equal. There's an old wisdom.
Nossa, tu viu o dublado aí?
Never be mended. They can only break. I want to lead this city to glory, not scorch its earth.
Ah, uns robôzão, né, mano?
Allies, to my side. Let us usher in a new dawn. This city is mine.
I'm not ready to call you enemy. What do you say? Shall we be allies?
Baldur's Gate. Parece filé esse aí.
It isn't you I answer to, Gortash.
Provavelmente é algum easter egg e eu não captei porque eu não joguei os anteriores, né?
Baldur's Gate 3 is on track, Sven tells me, still for the end of August, and we can't wait to check that out. All right. This fall, Marvel Games and Insomniac are
Marvel Games. Ah, é o 2, né?
Exclusively to PlayStation 5.
Spider-Man 2, deixa eu ver aqui.
Hyped, so to tell us more is Brian Intihar, game director at Insomniac. Brian, thanks for coming by. I know you guys are deep in development. First of all, looks like we have some fancy art behind us. Is this the box?
This is the box art. This is, you know, this is it. Here it is. I mean, it has 2 on the box for a reason, because this game features 2 Spider-Men, so we're really excited about it.
Absolutely. Peter and Miles, we're so excited about this experience that you guys are doing with these sort of 2 characters. We saw some great gameplay at the PlayStation Showcase, but I want to talk about the 2 villains, I think, in the game. There may be more.
There are more. There are more out there, I
2
promise.
main ones, but we have some new art to show of, we obviously, Kraven, we got the reveal at the PlayStation event. So tell us a bit about him and how he factors in.
Kraven's very different from any character we've done. He's not, he's not powered by magic or, tech. He's just the best hunter in the world, and he's coming to New York for his greatest hunt. And what's better than all of the Marvel characters that live in New York City? So Peter, Miles, and others, he's on the hunt.
And others, ...
Yes, yes.
But Venom also, obviously, Symbiote is a part of this whole story, as we saw in the gameplay. Oh, there you go.
Nossa, mano, o Venom.
I'm glad you're happy.
I don't know how much you're going to tell us about Venom. Is this, can you tell, is this an Osborn Venom? Can you tell us, what's the origin of Eddie Brock Venom? Or?
It is not Eddie
Se não me engano, no final do 1 foi por conta do Osborn, né? Que ele tava tentando salvar, acho que o filho dele, né? Não me lembro agora. Que ele tava tentando salvar o filho, ele achou uma raça, sei lá o que é.
But how the story plays out, who is Venom, you have to play the game to see how it goes.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. There's a bit of a tease. Now, obviously, the symbiote is a big part of the gameplay, and one of the things I think we were all struck with the footage that you showed at the PlayStation Showcase was, how that is going to really impact the gameplay when you're playing as, Peter. So tell us a bit about that and how, the gameplay is going to be dramatically different.
Yeah, I mean, I think you saw it in just the raw power, the strength, and even the transformation of Peter's moves in that gameplay. We call him the acrobatic improviser, him and Miles, but you can tell there's a lot more strength, a lot more raw power, aggression, which you saw both in the moves and how Peter talks. So it's not just what happens in gameplay, it's what happens, how the story plays out.
Interesting. So how it affects him as well.
Yeah, I mean, you saw some of that, and there's much more of that journey when you play the game.
And I know the journey is also more expansive. You've got Queens, Brooklyn, so even more of sort of
I mean, the city is pretty much doubled in size. So it's Manhattan, Queens, Brooklyn, and then being able to use the web wings to traverse at speeds way faster than they were before is really awesome.
Hugely ambitious game you guys have been building over the past few years. We saw at the PlayStation event, it said at the end, fall 2023, and I think, you know, we're like getting close to that. Are you guys feeling confident that you're going to make it this fall?
You know, Jeff, I know you like exclusives.
Yes.
And I can promise you we are very confident what we're going to tell you right now.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Nossa.
Let's take a look.
Então vamos ver essa gameplay aí. Nossa, mano. Be great together. Outubro já, mano.
Nailing it. October 20th. Spider-Man 2, exclusively for PlayStation 5.
Got it.
Awesome. Well, Brian, thanks so much for stopping by. I know you got a lot of work to do. Wrapping up the game, but we'll check it out in October. Thanks, Brian. We got our date. All right. Now let's take a look at Pal World, a multiplayer open-world survival crafting game where you can befriend and collect mysterious creatures called Pal, who can also fight. In other words, kind of like Pokemon with guns. And then we're going to look at the Land of the Morning Light, a new expansion to Black Desert Online, which recreates the mythical folktales from Korea's Joseon Dynasty, and some huge bosses, too.
Oi, som, oi. Tem que ter o Pokémon, né? Se não tiver o Pokémon, não... Se não tiver Pokémon, filho, não é conferência, não é showcase. Pokémon agora tem arma, boa! Parabéns, Free Fire. Obrigado. Pô, você mandou mensagem ainda antes? Porque eu saí aqui da Twitch e entrei de novo. É porque aí não tá aparecendo aqui. Tinha mandado mensagem aí, você repete aí que eu não vi não. Ó, carregando devagarzinho, tu viu no mapa? O vídeo carregando em tempo real. Nossa, é um bosta, hein? Quanto mais ele vai correndo, tu vê o render. Mas tá parecendo legal. Vixe. Nossa, uma cobra gigante. Black Desert.
Our story is more than what hobbits and elves know.
Os anões.
Time we told it ourselves.
Será que são os anões do Senhor dos Anéis?
We mine and scout.
Olha que legal, eles estão construindo. Ó, cavando. Pô, legal isso aí, achei legal, isso eu achei legal. Ó, constrói, ó, as paradas. Achei legal isso aí, esse eu achei legal pra jogar com o pessoal.
Meu filho é vivo.
Come, my fellow dwarves, rally together. It's time we took back our home.
Senhor dos Anéis, Senhor dos Anéis, Senhor dos Anéis, foi o que eu disse. É porque Fiquei pensando assim, saiu o do Gollum, né? Provavelmente eles pegaram os direitos autorais, só fizeram o Gollum de qualquer jeito pra pegar os direitos autorais. Aconteceu a mesma coisa com Star Wars. Star Wars era assim, antes de sair o primeiro Fallen Order, antes de sair o primeiro Star Wars, eles tinham um contrato que se eles não fizessem o jogo naquele ano, eles perderiam o contrato. E aí eu pensei assim, o Gollum é uma merda, talvez eles estivessem pegando o contrato para fazer a continuação, entendeu? Outros jogos, entendeu? Os direitos dos jogos. Olha, Final Fantasy. Até a demo do Pier, depois baixo sim. Genesis. Cara, parando pra olhar assim, os antigos eram muito bem feitos, né, mano? Final Fantasy. O cara deu uma espadada, um tiro, não tirou quase nada do bicho, doido. Olha o cara com a espada foda, não tirou quase nada também. Ó, Naruto. Naruto. Ever Crisis. Ó. Beta teste aberto, hein?
Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis has just started, and users will have the chance to participate in an upcoming closed beta test. Now, speaking of Final Fantasy. No. Today during Summer Game Fest, DoorDash has your back. You can get a free burrito when you order from Taco Bell using the code GameFest. Plus, get the chance to win a Final Fantasy 16 prize pack. DoorDash, stay in your game. Yep, we got you. All right. Now here's a look at a game we debuted last year at TGA. Banishers Ghosts of New Eden, the story of two ghost hunters in the haunted wilds of North America.
Life to the living, death to the dead.
Fox também, ó.
We are banishers. We end suffering for those who live. We bring closure to those who don't. I want us back, Red. I want revenge on what killed me. I want to live.
As the man says, we face a choice, simple and awful.
Nossa, pra rodar no meu PC isso deve rodar lisinho, pense. Daquele jeitão.
Do we kill? To be together again?
Or do we part forever?
Come out, wherever you are. Come on, show yourself.
Red.
Every bloody time.
Banishers. And for 2023. Isso aí é coisa, né? Yakuza, né?
頼みましたよ。コードネーム上流。
Hyuga Kotoku。
大丈夫か。
お待たせしてしまって。
トラブル発生。車はまだか。
到着まで3分。何があった？
お前らも今回り右すりゃ無事に帰れる。さもなきゃ。 これから起きることは全部お前らの選んだ結果だ。
Ó. Ele tinha poder? Eu não me lembrava que ele tinha poder, não. Like a Dragon, Gaiden, The Mahal. O homem que não sei o que apaga, alguma coisa assim. Top, hein?
Good morning, Stanley. It is 7:32 a.m. I hope you have a productive day.
Change username to just Stan.
Adjusting morning wake up. Good morning, just Stan.
Spotlight. 12, come in. You there, Stan? Green across the board. Looks like we're good.
Cara, eu não sei vocês, mas eu fico ruim toda vez de olhar pro fundo do mar, mano. Fico ruim, tá ligado? Sei lá, eu acho que eu tenho fobia, mano.
3 years, 2 months and 17 days. What sort of operation are they running down here? He shouldn't be here. Is someone there? This doesn't make sense. Is someone else down here? No. Dad, are you there?
Under that waves. Eu tenho fobia de fundo do mar, mano. Essas paradas assim me dão um negócio muito ruim.
Beautiful new game, Under the Waves, and today, incidentally, is World Ocean Day. Fun fact. All right, next, Call of Duty. Well, there's a new Call of Duty coming this fall, along with Warzone Mobile. Today, we're going to give you the first ever look at Season 4 of Modern Warfare 2 Warzone, launching next week. Here's your first look at Vondel, a new Warzone location with points of interest, including a medieval castle, a soccer stadium, and an abandoned zoo. Yep, it's all happening. Check it out. Here you go.
COD Mobile. O joguinho que queima o telefone. É um joguinho pesado, viu? Tá doido. Nunca vi joguinho mais pesado que COD, velho. Telefone. Free to player. Não tô prestando muita atenção no COD porque COD é COD, né? Não muda muita coisa. O COD nunca vai mudar. É sempre a mesma coisa, tiro, porrada e bomba, facada, é isso aí.
Season 4 next week. Today is a big day for video games, but also a huge day for Porsche. The iconic German automaker turned 75 years old today. And to celebrate their contributions in the automotive and gaming space, and we've all raced a 911 at some point at a game, Xbox has teamed up with Porsche for a limited edition run of 75 consoles inspired by 6 famous Porsche race cars. And I'm thrilled to debut the first design here today, inspired by the Porsche 963 that's racing this weekend at the 100th running of the 24 Hours of Le Mans. Let's take a look.
Boa. Versão da Xbox Series X. 75 anos de aniversário. É Porsche.
And here it is. The Porsche Xbox Series X. These custom consoles are not for sale, but you can enter for a chance to win one right now at PorscheXboxSweepstakes.com.
Com certeza vão vender o quê? 15 desse?
Xbox social channels for additional opportunities to get your hands on these special consoles. All right, next. Phoenix Labs are building the next great entry into the cozy farm sim genre. We all like a cozy game inspired by classics like Animal Crossing and Stardew Valley. Previously announced for Nintendo Switch, there's now some exciting news for PC players too. Let's take a look at Fae Farm.
Dear friend, life in Azoria's been treating me well.
É um jogo que Stardew Valley é um jogo tanto complicado quanto não tem tradução. E também só se joga se tiver online, mano, porque sozinho é pura bucha.
I think we found a way to get cozy and settle in. But there's something more I've been itching to explore. Realms where magic comes to meet us. As long as we're prepared, we can face anything. So, what do you say? There's so much yet to discover. Are you ready?
Fae Farm, avaliação setembro.
We promised variety. There it is. Fae Farm and Mortal Kombat in the same show, only at Summer Game Fest. Now, please welcome Ben Brode, Chief Development Officer and flannel enthusiast at Second Dinner, the developers behind the popular collectible card game Marvel Snap. What's up, Ben? Man, you guys have been on fire. Last time I saw you was at the Game Awards when you won Best Mobile Game. Seems like you've been very busy. We're excited about the Spider-Verse content you've been doing. Lots going on over there, right?
Yeah, it's been exciting. We've been doing a bunch of new features, some of the wildest cards we've ever made, and some new game modes. Yeah.
Yeah, new game. Is that a segue, Ben?
Certainly, yeah. I'm excited to announce Marvel Snap's biggest update ever. We have a new game mode coming next week. It's Conquest mode. It's a great way to get a super competitive experience and some exciting new rewards. But you don't have to wait till next week. If you haven't tried Marvel Snap, go download it right now on your mobile device or early access on Steam.
All right, Ben. I love the enthusiasm, Ben.
Eu adoro esse entusiasmo.
You're made for YouTube. All right. Well, we heard you brought something fun with you for us to watch, right?
Oh, yeah. So, listen. I'm incredible at card games, so I often win. But some people, and maybe you've had this experience, Jeff, some people lose.
Yeah. Hey, fair.
And I like to think it's because they suck. No offense, Jeff. But sometimes, sometimes it's because they might just be a little bit unlucky.
Cue the tape.
Oh, snap.
Okay, I don't have an ideal hand of cards here, but that's fine. I'll see what I draw in future turns. Anyway, let's reveal the first location.
Labuntus 1. Each player destroys their deck.
Okay, I guess I will work with what I have. I'll play Medusa on location number 2. She gets +2 power. And let's see the next location.
Clover Dangerfield has a 25% chance of destroying your cow.
Okay, well, I mean, 25% isn't that bad. And it's gone. Okay, well, I have some powerful cards in my hand, so I can just wait. Let's see the next location.
The Big Barn. Players cannot play 4, 5, or 6 cost cows.
You gotta be kidding me.
Also, if you don't play a card this turn, you have 0 friends.
Now you're just being mean.
Still to come, we're going to look at Immortals of Avium from EA Originals and Ascendant, and the world premiere first look at Chapter 4, Season 3 of Fortnite Wilds. Now, if you're looking for the smartest way to level up your gaming this summer, compare top credit cards side by side with NerdWallet and start maximizing your cashback rewards on everything from Wi-Fi to headsets. Now, here's a look at King Arthur Legends Rise, a new cross-platform UE5 game for mobile and PC.
Pô, tava doido pra comprar uma camisa daquela da PlayStation ali atrás. Tem um moleque que tá com a camisa da PlayStation. Tava doido pra comprar uma camisa daquela, mano. Achei legal. Caban.
I have sacrificed everything to save your kind.
Ó, será?
Fight with honor. Vanquish the wicked. And you may prove worthy.
Ó, parece bom, hein? Atual gameplay footage. King Arthur, o Rei Arthur. Legends Rising. Mobile.
Wayfinders. Do you remember the fall? The gloom descended on Skylight. You rallied to protect the beacon and paid a terrible price. You fell, and the world was broken. Remember who you were, who you are, and return to us. This world needs champions.
Esse mundo precisa de campeões. Os mesmos criadores de Run Terra. Run alguma coisa. Ray Thunder. Acesso antecipado hoje. Cara, quanto mais o tempo passa, mais o Fortnite vai ficando bonito, né, mano? A estrela apareceu ontem. Real.
Steve, seriously, you don't stand a chance.
Project under construction.
Curto jogo assim.
What did you say, guys? One more game?
Good morning, scavenger. Scan your surroundings to retrieve and recycle anything that could be of value to Scavex.
Captain's log, stardate 43152.4. Our fleet is cautiously entering hostile territory.
Égua, parece que tá travando.
The crew is standing by.
We are the Borg. Lower your shields and surrender your ships. Your culture will adapt to service us. Resistance is futile.
Star Trek Infinity.
Hey there, Summer Game Fest 2023. It's
Okay.
Net here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
My buddy Anthony Mackie and I have been working on this for some time now. We're really excited to share with you Twisted Metal, which is streaming only on Peacock starting July 27th. And I'm very excited to share a sneak peek of the character of Sweet Tooth, who I had the pleasure of voicing. Hope you enjoy it. Check it out.
This is gonna be fun.
Ha, swung a little wide there.
Well, aren't we a tall glass of water? Me? I'm more of a Hawaiian punch. I'm guessing you
Olha o
don't
jogo,
much
bicho.
outside of your car now, do you?
Look, clown, I don't need 4 wheels to kick your ass.
Esse cara com a máscara não é aquele jogo do Play 1? Era Twitter, uma coisa assim.
Kill music.
Lá, 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 eu sou você.
That's like what? All night long.
Let me see that thong.
Like it when the beat go? Baby, let your booty go. Girl, you want to show? The thong. Do you love the silver-haired god? Don't lie to me.
Yeah, man. Look, I listened to Unleash the Dragon so many times the disc broke. I'm not a liar.
You said you were coming
Que
to my
isso,
show.
mano? Nossa, cara.
Shot at me.
It was a misunderstanding. I've been getting shot at ever since I can remember. It's forced habit, I guess.
Sounds like you have trust issues.
É esse aí, Try Metal. Ah, é uma série. Ah, pô. Vai sair de jogo pra série, que legal, bicho.
Who hasn't dreamt of duplicating oneself in order to multitask? This new hack and slash game with a tactical twist allows you to do just that. Brought to you from France, here's the world premiere reveal trailer of Lisfunga, the time shift warrior, coming later this year to PC.
Goddess of time.
Salve, Gabriel, tudo bem contigo?
Let this power flow through you and fight again alongside you.
O que você tá achando da conferência, mano? Fala pra nós aí.
That's another me. I look good. I rewind. I begin again, but with another me to fight with.
You're coming with me.
Também, Arthur. Tudo bem, Gabriel, quer dizer, no caso. A gente tá assistindo a conferência aqui. A conferência da Xbox Showcase, qualquer coisa, tá legal, tá bem legal. Pois é, a gente tá vendo alguns jogos aí e mais tarde eu não sei se eu vou jogar, tô vendo ainda. Mas aí da conferência, qual foi os jogos aí que você tá curtindo muito aí, mano? Qual foi que você olhou e falou assim, nossa, esse jogo aí é massa?
Very cool independent game. All right, next up is a brand new IP from Ascendant Studios, a single-player, first-person magic shooter called Immortals of Avium. It's fast and fluid. It's an FPS in a fantasy setting, kind of like Doom with magic. It also has a great cast led by Darren Barnett as the main character, Jack, and he joins us now. Hey, Darren.
Hey, guys.
Great to have you with us.
O Max, o Max já apareceu? Não, mano, ele aparecer? Sabia disso aí? Não, mano. Caramba, velho.
I'm playing the main character, Jack, as seen behind me. He's a battle mage that controls all 3 forms of magic.
Se bem que ele tá fazendo um jogo agora, né? Eu não me lembro qual o jogo, mas o nome do jogo agora. Mas se eu não me engano, ele tava fazendo um jogo, né?
Fast-paced, there's so
tipo,
much action in it, you know, with all the spells, the spell casting and the magic. What can you tell us about
tipo da inteligência artificial, tipo, né, uma coisa assim, né? Pô, esse Immortals aí eu já tinha visto, mas pô,
they call him a street
foda.
rat is what he was. But he, during a time of intense trauma, he summons the power to control magic. Becomes part of the Immortals, which is like the elite Navy SEAL squad of this world called Avium, and they are in the middle of an ever war fighting for the control of magic.
Okay. You have a great cast. You, Gina Torres in it. Lots of amazing actors in this incredible, really high production value game that's coming out this summer. We don't have to wait long for it. And I know you brought something with you to share today, which is a gameplay sequence, which is one of the most epic sort of parts of the game, right?
Yeah. So this is a wild part of the game. This trailer is going to be showing you the Immortals and myself confronting Sandrak directly, who is the top villain of this game, and trying to end the Everwar. And it's taking place in like one of the most badass levels of a video game I've seen. We're battling on top of a 400-foot mech in the middle of the ocean as it moves around. It's wild, so let's take a look.
All right, let's take a look at some brand new gameplay from Immortals of Avium, which comes out this summer for PC, PS5, and Xbox. Thanks, Darren.
Thank you.
Ele vai apresentar o Alpha hoje? Nossa, mano. Então, nossa, bem representado o Brasil tá, hein? Ô, Dante, você viu aí, Dante? Bem representado o Brasil tá hoje, então, hein?
Welcome aboard, Immortal. What's our bearing, sir?
North by northeast, 5 knots.
We'll catch him, sir.
Nossa, que estranha essa pedra aí. Ai, mas pô, tá parecendo um Halo, mano. Tá parecendo um Halo, né? O jogo é top mesmo, mano. Esse jogo aí parece ser legal, só que eu acho ele muito vazio, sei lá. Você não tá achando não que parece um pouco vazio, sei lá, algo do tipo assim?
We're only going to win this one together. Sigil up.
Love that we get to show you guys so much amazing raw gameplay today, and that game looks incredible. Coming out this summer from Ascendant and EA. Now, one game that constantly reinvents itself is Fortnite, and tomorrow, Chapter 4 Season 3 Wilds launches, and today, Summer Game Fest is debuting the cinematic trailer to preview the season. The center of the island has collapsed, revealing a vast, hidden jungle with ancient secrets to discover. And of course, there's a whole new Battle Pass lineup where you can unleash the power, yes, of Cybertron. Here we go.
Tava assistindo o Avatar, o Caminho da Água. Bacana, né, mano? É o quê? 3 horas e meia, né? Não me lembro agora quanto tempo é. Eu me lembro de assistir o primeiro Avatar, foi no Cine de João Paulo, cara, faz muito tempo. E eu assisti sem querer, porque eu nem tava a fim de assistir o Avatar. Assisti, tipo, super aleatoriamente também. Optimus Prime. É o Optimus Priminho. Nossa, é uma bazuca do Optimus Priminho.
Fortnite Wilds launches tomorrow. Well, finally, guys, it's time to get to our grand finale. And it is a deep honor for me to present this game. What you're about to see is a world premiere trailer that gives us a new look at an expansive world we can't wait to explore again. This game comes from a studio that surprised the world and redefined the RPG genre with its iconic characters and rich storytelling. And I want to thank them for this trailer for one of gaming's most anticipated upcoming releases. The rumors were true.
We're still here at the scene of this terrible disaster, caused by a massive tornado which swept through sectors 0, 1, and 2.
Final Fantasy.
Amidst the wreckage of the expressway, search and rescue operations are already in progress.
O final é muito grande. Você tá falando do final do coisa? Do Avatar 2, né, que você tá falando?
So green. Even after everything we've done to it, it's still going strong.
It may look that way, but in reality, it's barely hanging on.
I was wondering, what's Cloud been doing these past 5 years? Where's he been?
And you're asking me this?
This is gonna sound crazy, but as far as I know, Cloud was never in Nibelheim 5 years ago.
The life stream. It is the very essence of our star. The blood coursing through its planetary veins.
According to Hojo, they're connected to Sephiroth. Shadows of the Man, I believe he called them.
Sephiroth was in Midgard. We fought him. Whatever happened, he's alive.
But
Oi, só foi.
After 5 years, doing who knows what.
Well now, think we will...
Você já jogou algum Final Fantasy, mano? E aí, Gabriel?
Feast your eyes on the Turk's latest and greatest, Elena.
She may be new, but she's still a Turk.
Sim, só do PSP. Cara, os Final Fantasy eu me lembro de jogar, mas eu não me lembro qual que eu joguei, mano. Acho que eu joguei uns do Play 2 e do Play 1, mas foi tipo assim, pouco, tá ligado?
They say she's a monster, that she can peer inside you, into the very depths of your soul, that she can become those you hate, those you fear, those you love.
You murdered my dad! You burned my village!
You know that I killed her. So, who is she?
Ribbit.
There you have it. That was Final Fantasy VII Rebirth coming early 2024 to PlayStation 5. Nomura-san, thank you so much. All right, that's going to do it for Summer Game Fest, our live showcase. But that is not
Continuação,
the end
sim.
of Summer Game Fest. Stay tuned this weekend for updates on many more games during SGF Play Days, a hands-on event for media here in Los Angeles, including Cyberpunk 2077,
O Dante aí falando continuação,
as
sim,
well as the Xbox
exatamente.
Bethesda showcase on Sunday. Right now, though, stay tuned for Day of the Devs from I Am 8-Bit and Double Fine, which celebrates
for
the
Devs.
independent game culture with a number of new game reveals over the next hour.
Dia dos desenvolvedores ou dos Satã?
Later
Estou
this summer
brincando.
on August 22nd for Gamescom opening night live in Germany, and again in December when we come together here in Los Angeles to celebrate 10 years of the Game Awards. Thanks for watching, everyone. We'll see you soon.
Acabou? Vai continuar o dia dos desenvolvedores, né? É isso aí. E aí, ô Gabriel? E aí, Dante? O que vocês acharam aí? O que vocês acharam aí da conferência? Achavam que tava... Vocês acham que estão precisando demais? Que tá faltando mais alguma coisa? Vou baixar aqui. Vocês acham que tá faltando alguma coisa? Sei lá. O evento foi muito bom, o Dante falando aí, mano, realmente foi muito bom. Realmente foi muito bom. Eu acho que eu anotei mais nomes hoje do que o de ontem. Então a conferência daí você já tira, né? Já tirei muito. Mostraram alguma coisa de Resident Evil? Não. Não, senhor. Ou mostrou? Não me lembro agora. Me recorda aí, Dante. Não, né? Não. Mostrou não. Não mostrou Resident. Não mostrou... O que você tinha falado? Do Max não mostrou. Cara, foi muito enxuto. Por mais que tenha saído muito jogo bom, mas também foi muito enxuto, cara, essa conferência. Na verdade, todas as conferências estão muito enxuta, né? Essa é a verdade. O Dante disse que não, realmente. SGF. Final Fantasy Rebirth. Mostrou o Silent Hill 2 Remake? Mostrou sim, cara. Mostrou sim. Ah, não. Foi Silent Hill, foi? Foi não. Mostrou o Alan Wake. Alan Wake 2 Remake. Não, perdão, não é remake, né? É a continuação, é o 2, perdão. É que eu tô enxugando as bolas aqui. Cara, resumindo, a conferência foi assim. Dos quais eu gostei foi Mortal Kombat 1, esse Rift Fire, que é tipo um Dark Watch do Play 2, o Alan Wake 2 e o Toxic Commando, que ele tá parecendo muito um Black 4 Blood. Tem os mesmos gráficos, mesmo tudo, ele parece muito um Black 4 Blood, né? E como é cooperativo, também deve ser tipo muito bom mesmo. Eu no fim eu só anotei esses 4 nomes porque são os que eu curti muito e acho que vai ser legal. Tem o outro jogo lá que eu esqueci o nome agora, é o Warhammer também. Warhammer, cara, vai ser do baralho, mano. Vai ser muito legal. Warhammer é brincadeira, mano. Eu curto muito Warhammer. Só que eu nunca joguei nenhum, mas eu curto muito. Mortal Kombat mostrou sim, cara. Mostrou até gameplay, mostrou Fatality, mostrou tudo do Mortal Kombat 1. Se eu não me engano, eles falaram que vai ser lançado em setembro ou em outubro já. Eu falei, pega, já? Não sei se foi nesse ano ou do outro, alguma coisa assim. Como é que tá meu áudio, tá bom? Summer of Gaming. Cara, tá dando essas cortadas que eu tô ficando puto já, mano. Na moral mesmo. Não, acho que aqui eu vou terminar aqui logo esse vídeo aqui. Pra quem assistiu, no momento, esse vídeo aqui vai ser gravado mesmo, então eu espero que você tenha gostado. Se você gostou, dá like, comenta, compartilha, se inscreve e falou. Muito obrigado aí, Gabriel, por estar nessa presença que é ilustre que é você, tá bom, Gabriel? Falou, Dante.